Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody, and welcome live on this Saturday, October 10th, 2020, for the 767th episode of the long-running Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the video stream. We're calling it Dave's Gone By. We've always called it Dave's Gone By. From the very first one, 18 years ago, Rabbi Solomon, who'll be with us later, he'll be thrilled with that number, 18 years. Shy, last week was our anniversary show. And so welcome to all of you. Welcome to, if you're new people, I'm going to try to angle this so that looks a little, that's a little better. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, and this is my show. And that is my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, who's helping out with the watch parties and such.
Your guest's name.
and yeah, let me tell you. Well, what's up? Well, what's happening?
I'm trying to spell her name correctly.
Well, think like fish.
Pesca?
Exactly. Think of fish in Italian, I guess, or in Spanish. And then think of kosher deli, except with a T. And you put them both together, and you have our guest's name, who will be with us in about an hour from now. She is a stand-up comedian. She has been a couple of times on TV's Last Comic Standing. I guess you could almost call her a veteran comedian at this point, because she was on the Jerry Lewis Telethon a few years ago. She's been there, done that in terms of the world of comedy. Her name is Tammy Pescatelli. Tammy Pescatelli. And even though she is not Jewish, and even though this is the holiday of Shmini Atzeret, apparently, and even the Rabbi Sol, Joyce is quoting from Rabbi Sol's show, she is probably, I'm guessing she's Italian with that name, not 100% certain, but Tammy Pescatelli will be with us in the Daverhood, chatting with Rabbi Sol Solomon on this holiday edition of Dave's Gone By. So that'll be a lot of fun. We're also expecting our frequent guest now, theater critic Leslie Hoban Blake. Even though there's no theater going on, she takes part in our Today, Yesterday trivia quiz. That's a lot of fun, which is where I ask some questions of things that happened on this date in history, this being October 10th. So the questions could go back to like the 1700s, all the way to a couple of years ago, but all occurred on October 10th in history. So Leslie's been playing the game. We also invited our good friend, another theater critic, David Sheward, to play along with us. I honestly don't know if he will be taking part this week. We've got to send condolences out to him because he lost his father earlier in the week. So whether or not we see David Sheward in the Daverhood today, we certainly wish him our best and our condolences. But Leslie should be here with us playing the game. We'll have Rabbi Sol, Tammy Pescatelli, plus a lot of our...
Oh, somebody said they can't wait to see Tammy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not a bad looking woman. I can't wait to see her either, if you know what I'm saying. But, you know, that's a nice thing. The beauty and the brains combined together in an Italianate way for Tammy Pescatelli coming to the Daverhood. And I want to thank Joe Corcoran, by the way, another friend of the Daverhood, for setting all that up. But here's the other stuff that's going to be on this show, because we do a lot. This is going to be one of those jam-packed shows with lots of little segments, as opposed to just a lot of me running off at the mouth, which we also do. I'm sorry, what? I'm A or B? I'm blocking the B. Oh no, I hope it doesn't sting me. I guess I'd better behave. Get it? Oh, gee. No one's good. No. I guess I'm too offensive, and I should play some D. Hey, hon, later after the show, you want to try some B and D? Well, it was a last minute thing. We just put these up towards the end. It was Joyce's idea because, of course, DGB stands for the name of the show, Dave's Gone By, which will include Greeley Crimes in Old Times. That's a segment that I've loved doing for a few years now, when Joyce and I were living in Colorado, we read the local Colorado newspaper, the Greeley Tribune, which, for whatever you like or dislike about it, has two intentionally funny columns in the paper once a week. One is about phone calls that come into police dispatch from people who see something weird happening and want to tell the police. And then the other has to do with items that were in the newspaper 100 years ago. And they pick particularly the funniest, weirdest, most nostalgic ones. We lump them together in a segment called Greeley Crimes and Old Times. We will also have a wretched pun of destiny. Yeah, we haven't had, we used to do those once a week, and then we ran out of them. Now we do them sporadically. Yes, perfect music for the wretched pun of destiny. And we will be talking about Ethel Merman and the Andrews sisters on our wretched pun of destiny. You do want to miss that, but you don't want to miss that. Don't want to miss our cat.
David, if they miss
Oh, I don't know if you heard that, folks, but my wife Joyce says, speaking of puns, if you miss the segment, you can go in the archives and catch up. I don't know how you mustered the courage for that joke, but I relished it. I did. And I'm wearing a condiment.
you're so saucy.
And spicy. I am. That's why they're running me to the Mayo Clinic.
Oh,
I know. Well, it is a Jewish hollandaise.
oh.
Okay. If you think I'm apologizing for all of that, you don't know the show. So here's the deal. What else? Those are mild. Wretched Pun of Destiny. Speaking of things that are not so mild, we will also have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. It's a short, disgusting poem that we do about a place or a town in Colorado every week. And this week, I bet you didn't know this, there is a town in Colorado called Ovid. O-V-I-D. And you'd think I would duck out of doing this particular Limerick of the Damned, but, you know, I'm male, so I don't have an Ovid duct. Ovid. Then I will readily apologize beforehand. I might be mispronouncing it. I could not find anywhere on the web where
You're
whether
not gonna say Ovid, trust me.
and then it would probably you pronounce it like the poet. It's
More like COVID with the not the C.
well, here's the deal. When I saw that there was a town O-V-I-D, and if you do pronounce it Ovid, I wonder what that rhymes with. So yes, we will have our Colorado Limerick. I'm sorry?
Maury Povich.
Right. Almost rhymes with Maury Povich. That's nothing rhymes with Maury Povich.
I can't spell comedian.
Except now that's a challenge.
Povich, Sovich,
Hove.
Movich.
Yeah. I bought a Mercedes and I drove rich. No,
Oh,
no,
now
it
you're
doesn't.
a rapper, honey. You're
Yeah.
a rapper.
And by the way, you can use the generic comedian instead of comedian.
I can't spell either one, so I just say your guess.
There you go. Tammy Pescatelli is the guest. So Ovid is our Limerick wretched pun of destiny about Ethel Merman.
You're getting a thumbs up.
From whom?
I don't know. I just see a thumbs up. Just float it in. I don't know who.
Thank you. Thank you for floating that, unless you're a proctologist, thank you very much for floating that thumbs up. Plus we have, I did mention our yesterday quiz with Leslie Hoban Blake. That will be coming up. We haven't done this in a couple of weeks because we haven't had any news to report, but we'll also go inside Broadway for a little bit of news about the theater that I do love. The thing about that is, of course,
What about the theater?
well, no, thing is, there has been some theater news this week. A little bit of it reasonably good, the rest of it not so good, but we'll report it to you. It's one of our quote-unquote normal, not intentionally funny segments. So it kind of gives us a breather, and I'm a playwright, I'm an actor, director. Theater is important to me, so I like to share that with you. Our Inside Broadway segment. Did I throw anything else? Oh, yes. One other thing I will apologize for, although these aren't as rough as I thought they would be. We do have our My Sick Mind segment back this week. These are when I break all rules of decency and tell jokes, one-liner jokes, about something horrible in the news. So, of course, we will have some one-liners generally pun-like, about Eddie Van Halen. Yes, as I say, I apologize beforehand, but they're really not as sick and awful as they usually are when I do something that is taboo and I have absolutely no right as a human being doing. My sick mind, indeed. So that is what's coming up on this edition of Dave's Gone By, Saturday,
Good morning.
October 10th.
There goes the Daverhood. And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
Yeah, David Lefter is here. He's a Long Island Arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Yes, the best advice ever from Joe Franklin. Keep on listening to Mr. Dave on this 767th edition of the show. We're calling it PES Dispenser.
Oh my goodness.
In honor of Tammy Pescatelli. Do we have names? Do we have people watching?
Oh, I missed a lot of people.
Oh,
I'm just not
yeah,
running.
no, but Joyce is writing down some of the names of some of the folks watching. We try and mention as many people as we can.
So,
Yeah.
These are, Joe isn't the regular one, but everyone else is watch party. They're watch party people.
Oh my God, Gregorius. We have a Gregorius.
He's from my school. I love Gregor.
There was a young man from Gregorius who really should use some Levoris. I don't know. Andrew, Julian, Karim, Brim, Vadim, something, Alan, Matthew, Peter, Steve, David, and Joe, and a whole bunch of other folks. I'm sorry if we missed you.
I'm
Well,
trying to do it. I'm
just
sorry.
understand that we're very glad that you're watching. Very happy to have you in the Daverhood. So not much going on in the world this week. How you doing, babe? I know you've had a headache for the last day or two.
Okay.
Mostly sinus stuff.
I'll live.
You know, as if you have sinus stuff, I'm sure Rabbi Saul would send you to Mount Sinai.
I worked in Mount Sinai.
Yeah, everybody knows.
Oh.
It's going to be one of those kinds of days, right? Yeah. But seriously, other than that, how was your week, my darling?
Good. I'm happy to be alive.
Joyce is happy. Aren't we all? Aren't
I'll
we?
give you my flu shot thing. I'm going to go get it to show you.
Oh, Joyce, God bless her. She is not needle phobic like I am.
I'm death phobic.
It was death. Well, you are rather death phobic because you've been avoiding going out much the past half a year during the pandemic.
Oh, I can't get it because your mom's in the bathroom.
Well, we'll get later. She's not going to be in there for 3
Yes,
hours.
she will.
It could be. So, but Joyce doesn't go out much at all. She's very, 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 very careful. But she did make the effort to go to, was it Drain Reed or Rite Aid? Where'd you go?
Unnamed grocery
An unnamed
store.
chemistry, pharmacy, grocery kind of store chain where they were giving flu shots, and she got one. Good for you. You said it was painless?
It was painless. The woman came out in a shield. She was lovely. She stuck me and left. It was the best relationship I've had.
She stuck you and left. Usually that's what a guy does on a Saturday night, but
It was beautiful. I loved her.
well, good for you. And have you had any, because you had a headache before the shot.
No, I actually feel fine. Yeah, I don't have any symptoms. I hope that my body is generating some immune response so that when the flu comes, if it's one of the strains in there, I have some residual immunity. So I'm happy.
You got like the quadratopter.
I always do.
All right.
I go for the best, nothing but the best, honey.
So is it, when they give you quadratop, is it like 4 separate needles in the thing, or is it just
It's a good mixture. It's like a martini or something.
Oh.
It has a lot of stuff in it.
excellent? It's a flutini, if you will.
Yeah.
I should do it. I'm 56 years old. I should have been doing it for years. I'm guessing about this, but I wonder sometimes if I wouldn't be mostly deaf in this ear. Had I gotten the flu shot at some point, I wouldn't have got. Well, it was viral. I just lost my hearing one day. It happened, and who knows? It's genetic, but a flu could have kicked it in. I don't know. So probably I should have mussied up. That's not the word. Mustered up the courage and ketchuped up the courage to go and get a flu shot myself. And I should do it this year. Maybe I will, especially since I'm working around new people in a school district, even though, thank goodness, I don't see any children.
Messy town. You're in a messy town.
Yeah. I gotta say, I will, I'm not gonna name names, I'm not gonna tell what district or anything like that, but all credit to the powers that be in the superintendents.
Well, Vicky Quaddy just sent you some love.
Oh, thank you, Vicky Quaddy. Vicky Quaddy, of course, from Late Night Catechism, and was our guest a couple of weeks ago.
She tried to bite not bite, she tried to hit the rabbi with the ruler too soon.
That's
That was
true.
like the most, that was the funniest attack on the rabbi that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, and everybody attacks the rabbi, but that was one of the best. So,
Trevor just joined our
welcome to Trevor. He was on the air earlier on
He's always
WGBB.
on the air. That man, every time I look, he's on the air.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
Because all WGBB, if it's not Chinese, it's like, we have nothing. Let's play some gospel.
No,
So,
but how
yeah,
can he do it? I mean, that's a lot of physical
Yeah.
energy. That's what I'm saying. I couldn't do it that much.
I could.
I know, that's true.
I could be on the air spinning music for 90 hours a week and be like, hello. So here's, what was I saying? About the
Flu shot,
flu shot, yeah.
Tammy Pescatelli.
Well, no, roll it back to the flu shot. I was saying something about getting it. Or,
Oh, you were talking about how you couldn't get it in your nose because you're a big boy.
I didn't mention that on the air. Yeah, a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago, I made up my mind and I read in the paper that, you have an option when you're getting the flu shot. You can either zoop in the arm, needle, scary, wasp, hornet, pain, terrible for me, or they can spritz it up your nose. And although I'm not someone who ever did cocaine or anything like that, I've had, when I was a child, I used to get nasal spray all the time. I used to have water shooting up my head to cure allergies.
You were a child who did cocaine?
No, I'm just, no.
Oh.
But the thing is, I'll do that if you figured out a way to give me the flu vaccine without, I'm not an anti-vaxxer by any stretch of the imagination. I'll take it. Just don't puncture my beautiful epidermis.
Oh, Lord.
Give it
Here we go.
Give it to me up here, or if you want to be a little bit radical, up this one. Pick either nose.
Up what?
Well, if I do my left nose, it's a little more radical than doing my right nose.
Oh,
If you spritz it up the center, it just sprays everywhere. It doesn't do any good. But if you pick one nostril and you go in there with, God, I have an ugly nose. So fine, do it. Give me the shot. I'll take it. And then I go there and I fill out the paperwork. And I say, okay, I'm here. Give me the flu vaccine. And here, come take my nose. And they said, no, we can't. I'm like, wait, what do you mean you can't? And she's like, it won't be effective for you because if you're over 50, it's no good going up the nose. You have to get it in your arm. No one told me that. Why? Is somehow, fluid going into my body in some way rather than the other way is suddenly not effective anymore? And I asked Joyce about this yesterday, and she said it has to do with, I've got such, the cilia in my nose now is probably like the wipers in a car wash. They're so bristly and so grown that anything that's coming towards them, they're just going to filter out and wash away. The flu stuff, the dead flu vaccine that's going into my body that will kindle cells that will keep me from getting the flu, I guess. In a baby, the hairs are very, very little tiny. It's a little baby head.
Cute baby hairs.
The stuff goes whoosh into it. No problem at all. But when you're my age,
They're baby.
Yeah.
Hairs.
when my age, there's a blockade of nasal hair.
And you sprout so much hair, I don't think they could even get anything up your nose.
Yeah, that's a. But what I told Joyce is, how come? I mean, all right, I understand a baby, it goes right in. Baby's only 10 pounds. It immediately goes into the. Babies don't get flu shots either, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Really?
Yeah, my coworker's baby got a flu shot.
Really?
Yeah, of course
Wow.
they do.
All
Babies
right.
are little, they need it.
But they stopped giving the flu up the nose shot in your 40s, not when you're 8 or 12. Are you telling me that somehow a 30-year-old person is so different from a 50-something-year-old person? I don't get it, and I don't like it. Or give me an evil, foul-tasting spoon of medicine that I will drink down. Here's your flu vaccine. Take a gulp and have some soda right after it to chase it down. Fine, I'll do it. Why they have to give it in a thing in the arm with the hurt and the
They used to give
point?
it to you in the tushy.
Tushy's better. Tushy
Tushy's not good. It's your tushy. How are you gonna sit down?
Tushy has more mush than arm.
Yeah, but it's gotta go in quick.
Well, it should go in the arm quick too. Tushy's a problem because there is more involved in the fear and the waiting.
And taking down your pants.
And you gotta take down your pants and stand there and wait and close your eyes and like, I sing. I'm horrible. When I have to get a shot or God help me, a blood test, it's like, you literally hear me singing all over the doctor's office.
Your teeth at the dentist, everyone in the thing could hear you talking. You're like, like
Yeah, it's fear, it's panic, it's staving off whatever's happening with the sound of my voice, which is the story of me.
Remember the guy who was watching the show who said the parrots loved your voice?
Oh, that was last week. Yeah, some guy was
watching.
saying horrible things, and the parrots were going, ah, yeah.
They loved it. Remember it was a
We
condor,
like meat.
condor and a cockatiel. They loved
Yeah.
they're fussy.
Oh, they are. They are. I know women who have a cockatoo, and then they regret it. But thank you very much. So, but seriously, so good for you. I mean, I admire your bravery. You get the occasional blood test. You go for a shot.
David, I didn't donate a lung. I just got stuck in the arm by a nice woman.
No, but even earlier in the week, I went to our local Walgreens, right? And as opposed to our Walgreens, I went to our local Walgreens, it's a little higher level, and was there to buy some crap. Was it? Well, it is Dwayne. Dwayne Walgreens are the same. Yeah. And I'm there, and all I want to do is buy. I'm just there because they have a sale on a couple of things. I need to grab something, so I'm waiting on the line and waiting to pick up something, and just waiting. And there's people very casually, calmly in this day and age, waiting 6 feet. They've got the markers on the floor to wait, and then I see this guy, and he's like this, and he's there for his flu shot because you can go get him. Basically like Joyce did in one of these places. And he's like, he literally, like, we're all standing there. He's like, do I just give you my arm? And he did, literally right there in the middle of an aisle, no doctors up, nothing, not even going into a little place on the side, like a sukkah.
She made me sit down. She's like, sit down, relax.
Good.
You don't want the muscle tight when they're sticking the needle in.
Oh, my
God. I
was
like, I can stand. She's like, sit down.
Good for her. No, this guy was like, and literally, I'm turned the other way so I don't have to see it. And in the middle of everything, between like the Afrin nasal spray and the humidifiers, there's this guy. The woman comes out with a mask, and I don't look, but I hear it was over in like a second. And then I turn around, and there's some of the guys walking away. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Not. But I don't know. I mean, if it works, if they come up with a vaccine for COVID that is safe, I'll take it. I'm not one of those people who, if Trump says it's safe, we won't take it. But if the doctor says it's safe, that's basically how I feel. If the CDC and the NIH say, yeah, this vaccine is all right, and only one, I always wonder, what is that percentage where they say it's okay? Because nothing is 100% safe. You can give a glass of water to 10 million people. One person is going to drown while drinking it. That is just the nature of the beast. And if you happen to be around that one person, you're going to say, oh my God, water's not safe. I'm never touching that stuff. It doesn't matter that everybody else is just fine. They found that one person who had a problem with water. There's probably people who are allergic to water. I wonder about. They don't live long. But I wouldn't be surprised if 1 in every 100 billion people has a water allergy. So if you think about it, like with the anti-vaxxers, they're finding, I wouldn't be surprised, 8 out of every 100,000 kids gets, not retardation, what do they call it? Down syndrome or something, because they took a flu vaccine or because they took the diphtheria, tetanus, what's that on the DPT? Polio
I'm not
vaccine.
going science with you because you're the least scientific person I know.
No, Heshy Tischler is the least scientific person.
You're actually an anti-science person.
Me?
Yeah.
In what possible way am I
You don't have a
anti-science?
grasp of scientific method or any
Are you
research.
saying I'm wrong? Are you
No,
saying
I'm
I am
saying-
wrong that,
I'm saying that you should be the least person to give any medical or scientific
I mean, it's like, I think we talked about this months ago, like back in children's birthday parties, they would give out peanuts and peanut brittle. And nobody thought of anything in the 1960s, 20, 50, 100 years ago. Everybody ate peanuts. And then suddenly,
But
it's like,
you're so like Schnettel. I mean, the world's changed and exposure's changed and people have changed. We have drug-resistant diseases
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't have years ago because we have people developing immunity,
Or
resistance to
yeah.
disease
Yeah.
based on exposure to antibiotics. So you can't use the models that happened years ago now because it doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
It's a different situation.
Right, but you don't see them banning peanuts. They might ban them from a party. They might ban them from a facility. They do, where this was making a non-peanut facility or non-dairy facility. I get it, but it is a legitimate question of at what point, if they do a test on 10,000 people with an upcoming coronavirus vaccine. So if 5 of those people die and 20 more people get really sick but survive, is that vaccine safe? And we would normally say, yeah, it is.
The FDA would have to look at FDA, and you don't know if that's the safety.
I'm pulling numbers out of the air. I'm saying, okay, 5 dead out of 100,000, 20 dead out of 100, 100 dead out of 100,000. No, then anybody would say this needs to go back. This needs more R&D. So I'm always just curious about where they find that statistical number to say.
So what they do is the FDA, like now that they're doing tests on older adults, so the FDA gets data from a lot of clinical tests, and you hope they're done correctly, and you hope they report accurate adverse effects, and then they look at it and they look at the risk benefit, and they decide. Right?
But I mean, in the opposite way, this is what Trump should take into consideration when he says that, coronavirus is not so bad flu, right? I got it. He's not lying. He got it. He had it. And for him, wasn't so bad. He had a fever, probably a little hallucination here and there, had maybe a bad night, and his breathing needed a little help. And then in 48 hours, really got over it, unless it bounces back, as it sometimes tends to. But he judges only by the effect it had on him, and I guess the close circle. It's funny, nobody's mentioned Melania. Nobody knows how she's doing. They might have hacked her legs off to save her circulation last week. We've got no idea. Or McEnany or any of these people, how they're doing, right? But we're assuming, all right, they had a bad flu and they're okay. And so when that happens to you, make the assumption, well, if it was all right by me and all right by the people around me, then I guess it's, for the vast majority of people, it's all right. And it's hard to tell someone like that, yeah, but for 200,003 other people in America, was not so all right. And you've got to you're lucky. Now, the vast majority of people who will get this virus are lucky, but not everybody. People will get it. They'll walk around with no symptoms or very minimal symptoms. Or if they're kind of unlucky, they'll get pretty bad symptoms. Or if they're really, really unlucky, they won't get over those symptoms. And they'll be, shoveled into a pit outside a hospital with a quarantine tent. This is, I just wish Trump would take that into consideration in his thinking, in his way of saying, just because it affected me in this fashion, doesn't mean that let's open things up, get the schools open, get the restaurants, have rallies, masks optional in the Orthodox community. I don't know. It's whether or not, I don't know why the second wave hasn't hit yet. Maybe it's not cold enough. We're here. We're trying. And that's what I was going to say before, is all credit to the folks at our school district because they decided to stay the course, in a manner of speaking. They were going to open the schools for 6 weeks and then make the decision, because the schools were partially open. There's one day when everybody's home and teaching remotely. I mean, the kids are not just sleeping, they're taking classes, but everybody's home. Teachers home, kids are home. And then they've got staggered days. when students stagger in or they stagger out. And they were thinking after 6 weeks they were going to reassess and then probably change. If the rate of infection was less than like 5%, they would just have everybody coming in again under strict supervision, with masks, with separation, but still get things, quote unquote, back to normal and schedule the old-fashioned way with people coming in 5 days a week. And the superintendent basically being yelled at by a lot of parents.
Well, I'll tell you, when I went to get the flu shot, I saw a lot of kids going to the grammar school. It was morning time, so I saw the crossing guards. They were getting out of the cars with no mask.
Right.
They were carrying the mask in their hand, so there was not a lot of organization of that. So I didn't like that to see that.
Nobody's paying attention. I was shopping yesterday at the local supermarket, and the Starbucks, which I guess is really, really popular among junior high school and high school kids.
Woohoo, Starbucks.
All these kids standing around in clumps. These are not all relatives.
Not family.
These are not all one family together. You know, it's not like the Orthodox where it could be 12 people in one family unit, living in a van by the river eating kosher government cheese.
Only if a few kids stay home.
Yeah. But no, and these kids were just kind of laughing and joking and standing around, and half of them had masks.
Wow.
The other half, no. And the kids on bicycles, and I'm trying to, I've got my mask on, so supposedly I'm sparing them.
Yeah.
It's not really sparing me so much if I'm getting hit with fluid. I'm being careful for their
Especially
sake.
at Starbucks, there's a lot of fluid.
That's right. They're having lattes and fraps. There's going to be foam flying when they talk, right? And meanwhile, I'm worried about these idiots. Like, I don't want to kill these stupid kids.
Starbucks has a COVIDuccino.
A Covicino.
Yeah.
I love it. A Covicino. Oh, that's so. But some people aren't paying attention, and you think these kids in the schools, where we're very lucky so far in our district, we actually haven't had. We're literally. I mean, this is going to change, but right now we're at 0% in terms of people being tested and being infected with this. I'm amazed. I'm stunned. I don't know how that happens when you have hundreds of people connected to a system and on some level interrelating, but that's good luck. Or as you laugh at me with my non-science, but what did I say months ago on this program? I said, COVID travels. It behaves. It's like, I think I'll stop in New York and go to a hotel and smash up, throw a TV out the window and break up the hotel and do a lot of damage. But I'm going to leave the hotel. And now I want to travel. We're on tour with my band, my COVID-19 band. And now I'm going to go over to Connecticut. And then we're going to avoid I don't want to go down south yet. I'll wait till cooler weather. I'm going to go over here and essentially leave this place where I've wreaked all this havoc alone for a while, or maybe forever. So I really honestly think that over the past bunch of weeks in New York, no matter what we had done, whether people were distancing or not, or masked or not, the virus wasn't really paying attention to us. We could have pretty much done what we wanted to, go in swimming pools, go to concerts, go to theater, go to museums, walk around, go to political rallies. It wouldn't really have mattered until the wave came back. And now what will happen is the wave, it has gone down south, it has gone to the west, the far west certainly, is hitting Milwaukee and the Midwest and all of that right now. And then they're going to be like, wait, who wants to be in Milwaukee? Who the hell? What is Wisconsin? Let's go back to New York. So at some point, COVID will somehow get on a bus and then travel back to New York and cause more damage. And at that point, get on the masks, get everybody distance, everybody stay home, everybody avoid each other, get the hell away from the nursing homes and let the people die there. And you might want to laugh, but that's what Cuomo did. It's just, I don't even know what to think. It's just, I was so embarrassed watching the riots and it's the first time I can use the word riot and Jews, and they're actually the instigators. In 5,000 years of Jewish history, if there was a riot, it was Jews running away from people, trying to burn them or hit them with sticks. First time ever in the history of the universe, there's a group of Jews and they're causing the riot. And it's more than, it's somewhat peaceful protest, but they're burning shit, okay? They're taking boxes, and you saw that, it's gone viral, unfortunately. They're in the middle of the street, burning cardboard boxes of masks, and just, I didn't see any masks, there's no boxes.
I just got noticed that my paper ballot's on its way to me.
Oh, yay, excellent. So, but it's like, and to watch this, and to think, what makes them think that they should do this? I mean, if they want to protest being orderly, good Jewish people, they're bigger. They were 6 feet away from each other.
Why are you burning stuff?
Yeah, well, they're burning the masks. What they're going to say is,
But there's such a shortage. Why not just donate them to somebody who wants it?
because they supposedly feel that the mask thing is it's beyond just a pointless thing to do for them. It's beyond just the masks don't really help. The masks are, you're gonna get it, you're not gonna get it, and there's herd. They also think in terms of herd immunity that if 10,000 people get it, a few will die and the rest of us will be okay, which is sort of the reverse of the vaccine argument I was making before. And they're also saying that this is simply a way.
Some of the religious leaders are saying
Some really stupid religious leaders are saying that it's all essentially a hoax. Gee, I wonder what political figure said that a few months ago. But they're also thinking this is just a way to control the community without even doing it legal, without passing a law. You've just got the mayor and the governor giving ordinances like follow this or we'll arrest you. Don't have more than 12 people in a synagogue, or else. Don't freely assemble, which is right there in the Constitution, or else, right? And they're saying, when this kind of thing happened, and of course a Jew is always going to leap to the Holocaust, because that's what we do. When the Germans said in 1931, okay, there's a curfew, stay home Jews after 6 o'clock. And the Jews went, no, that's not so bad.
But it's not just Jewish people, it's other communities too.
Well, they don't want to acknowledge that. They don't want to recognize that. The Orthodox think they're being specifically targeted, which they're not, but they think so. And then the government, the Nazis in power started to say, all right, now you have to be identified with a yellow star. And they say, well, that's painless, all right, it's an identifier, we'll wear it, fine. And you go and you say, okay. And you say, all right, we'll do this, all right, we'll do that. And by the time you think, holy shit, we're in a ghetto and they're gonna send us to a concentration camp, you're stuck, right? There's no place to go. You should have, 4 years ago, said, no, we're not gonna curfew. We're gonna riot, we're gonna get guns, and we're gonna fight back. How would, the 1940s have been different had the Jews said that in Germany and Austria and Eastern Europe, right, and in Western Europe? How would it have been had the Jews said, no, rather than curfew, we're going to riot, before Hitler burned down the Reichstag and took complete power? Well, if they had done it when he was just rising through the ranks. So Jews now, with the never again mindset, say, oh, you want us to not get together, not celebrate our holidays together, not be in a synagogue during the high holidays.
It's a misinterpretation. You can do it, but you have to do it spaced in
Right.
lower numbers.
Yeah. And so, well, the thing is, if you've got 10,000 Orthodox people who want to go celebrate or be together on Yom Kippur, and your synagogue can allow only 40 in, this to them is impinging on their right to practice religion.
Just do like 40 people for 10 minutes, 40 people for 10 minutes.
That's right. It's like the Jewish bakery. You take a ticket, you wait,
That's right.
you go in, then you come out. I would, if I could go to shul for 10 minutes, I would go to shul. Of course I would. All right, do the big ones. Yeah, Shema Yisrael. Okay, can we do Adon Olam? I like that one. All right. Oh, Kaddish, I'll wait. I have to do Kaddish today. A 2-minute sermon. All right, and maybe I'll give to the treasurer will make his report. We need to give. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you next week. That's great. That's great synagogue to me, man. So this is what's happening, but it's so embarrassing and so awful. And what really went on, and what the riot was really about, and this is really sad, is that in their mindset, I'm trying to think like them here. because I do have some of that blood in me, is that the Jews were watching the riots after George Floyd.
Oh,
And
you
after
think
the-
that's what did it? Like
What they were seeing was all over the country, protests were starting peaceful, turning violent, and the police didn't really do much. The police stood around and watched because they didn't want a small riot to turn into a tinderbox that took up the whole country. So the police would stand around while Black people turned over police cars and smashed businesses and set fires. And Jews are watching this, and they're scared, and they're afraid of Antifa. Ooh, they're trying Antifa. And they're like, you know what? Blacks can do this. They can get away with it. They do it every time O.J. Simpson is guilty, not guilty. Every time something happens in a courtroom with a Black person, whether positive or negative, there's a riot, and the police let it happen. So we'll have our own riot. We'll see how the police, who are trying to herd us into our houses all the time now, let's see if they let us do it. And the police let them do it, you know. And it almost turned violent. If you believe one of the reporters, a Jewish reporter from a Jewish paper, was almost attacked, right? He was chased. He was chased down the street by, and yes, there is something kind of funny about a whole bunch of people in PES and long beards and hats chasing somebody for any reason. It's pretty amusing, but not if you're that reporter. That's still scary. You've got a bunch of young guys, and yes, they're not, you know, they are of your faith. They're not scary Black people who might be armed. There are a bunch of Jews who are holding scrolls and you know, and can't run very fast because they're all wearing hats. They'll fall over on their heads if they go more than 3 miles an hour. But still, he was scared. He was screamed at. He was apparently punched at or kicked.
I hope that he gets restraining order, and I hope they find the people that did. I hope there were cameras, because you can't. The press are always assaulted. You can't assault people. He's doing his job.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
he's trying to, you know, he's respectful of the people. You cannot attack someone. That is, what is it, a felony? I don't even know.
Well, yeah, it's wrong.
You can't attack people.
Joyce is absolutely.
Because if you attack people, that's, to me, that's very.
Because they didn't like him, not just because he was a reporter, but they accused him. They used that word called, not mamza, which means bastard in Yiddish, but Moser.
Incited by your boyfriend.
Well, by Heshy. Oh, that Heshy Tischler. I talked about him last week.
If you call fire in a crowded theater, you're in trouble.
Yeah. So you've got this radio host and would-be politician, although apparently, thank goodness he's dropped out of the race, but this local politician who really wants to serve his community, but serves his community at the expense of everybody else, he's calling this journalist a Moser, which is kind of the worst thing. It's like a capo. It's someone who works with the enemy against your own people. And you do that in an angry crowd once the sun's gone down, and there's the reporter, and alone with his little tape recorder or what have you, and suddenly you're screaming at him that he is a traitor to the Jewish people around a bunch of people who are angry at.
Or incited.
Yeah, that's borderline.
That's bad.
Kind of borderline incitement to riot and incitement to violence and to assault, essentially. If you stand back and tell someone else to go beat somebody, which this isn't quite the same thing, you're kind of guilty. So, but this it just amazes me. It astonishes me the the world that we're in.
I just put a picture of the world and said, "What a world we live in."
Yeah, because even though I'm even agreeing that at times I think we've gone too far with the lockdowns, but at other times not. I don't think it was really right to lock down the country in February and then come out of it in May, right? When things really eased up, and then go back in. We might have to go back in some point in November. If the numbers keep creeping up, and the numbers aren't just people who are testing, but people who are actually getting really sick and or dying, close the stuff up. Go ahead and do it. And keep following all the rules. So as I said, I all credit though to the superintendent and all the board members of saying, okay, parents, it's all right. We're not going to change our schedule until 2021. We're just going to keep things the way they are, which is a breather for me because, I and a couple of other people I work with are in charge of trying to report all the scheduling and the classes and the kids and to New York State. And it's just been an unbelievable cluster where we think we know what we're doing for 10 minutes, and then we're staring at spreadsheets and we're staring at this program called eSchool and going, well, we thought we knew what we were doing, but we just make a bigger mess than was there before. Yeah. And then we have the guy who comes in on Tuesday, who's sort of the liaison between eSchool and what goes to New York State. And he said, oh, you guys are in terrible trouble. We're just getting error after error after error. And I'm like, really? Are you? No kidding. Are you really? Do you want to figure this shit out for us? Because we can't. But I mean, he's a really nice guy, but he gets frustrated. We get frustrated. And so it goes, and the circle continues, and he finds more errors. And we try to correct those errors or figure out, no, that wasn't an error at all. It's just weirdness this year. Some kid who was entered into a course and then exited out of the course 3 days later and then went back into the same course, and that's flagged on your system. Well, that kid was a hybrid learner, and now he's remote, and now he's hybrid again. So yeah, that actually is why that came up. Hate it. It's just, if it was logical, it would be beautiful, right? Because you would appreciate that. If something was kind of complicated, but it made sense, there's the click would happen. Like in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, when Brick keeps drinking, he's waiting for the click. And once the click happens in his head, he's like, it all makes sense now. And I keep waiting for the click. And sometimes I get it. And I get the click, and I'm like, for 10 minutes, I'm happy.
You need your toothbrush?
No, I'm all right. Yeah, because I'm in the click mode, but something happens to undo the click.
Here we go.
There it is. Ding, ding. By the way, do we have new people? I forgot to, do we have any more people watching? Let's add some folks, such as Joe and John and Trevor and Jerry and Rick or Nick, maybe. Rick, and a couple of Davids, and George and James. Welcome to all of you who are watching the 767th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling wife, Joyce. Ketchup is with us still, although taking the less prominent. Oh, and the Ketchup Grill. Wait, we gotta get the logo on there. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, I have been having prostate trouble. Here we go. No, I'm kidding. But what else do we want to talk about? Just move away from politics. Let's, so I did want to mention this because speaking of horrors, speaking of things that seem okay but are actually ridiculous, well, not ridiculous, but are absolutely terrible and horrible, we watched a very enjoyable documentary about Dolly Parton this week.
Jolene.
And it's a very authorized directory. She's very careful with her image, even though she's tremendously likable and seems really herself, even when she's being the two halves of herself that are like this Dolly and the Dolly who's a pretty serious songwriter, right?
She wrote songs for a lot of people.
She wrote songs. I mean, I had not remembered or didn't even know that Whitney Houston song was it I Will Always Love You? That was written by Dolly Parton, and I think I prefer her version because I'm not a Whitney Houston fan. And she's just, a very brilliant, I don't know if I would use genius, but a brilliant songwriter. Dolly Parton. You strip away.
The manager said she spits them out. Like they needed a song, she went in the bathroom, she wrote with a Sharpie on toilet paper, came out with a song that was like a Grammy Award-winning song.
And so you learned, about Jolene, and then the song about the bridge.
Oh, and the one that made me cry, the girl and the dog who Corn got killed.
That's the song I want to talk about. That is a song because we learned about the bridge and the
Andy and Candy.
Yeah, Me and Little Andy is an old Dolly Parton song. It doesn't necessarily wind up on her greatest hits collections, but it's a song everybody knows because it's like
But if
in
you
3
do this,
verses.
you
You're
have a
like,
weird tap with that. It looks very strange.
Oh.
Just the tap.
here, better. It's not even on the air right
Yeah.
So we're learning about the different songs that she's written, and the song that everybody thought she wrote, "Here You Come Again," which was written for her by Barry Mann and Cynthia Wilde. Great.
I couldn't sheep hero too.
But there's this one song that they're talking about that I remember hearing on the radio called "Me and Little Andy," and it is intentionally maudlin, and it still works. Right?
Well, she said, make them cry, make them laugh, right? That's her strategy.
Yeah, and she wants to write, as a country songwriter would, the truck ran over my grandpa and crushed the whiskey bottle in his hand. I mean, that's your typical country sad song. So she wrote this one. Here's the whole plot, and it's in 3 or 4 verses. It's just in 2.5 minutes, it's done. This little wastrel girl shows up at this house, and she's like, oh, do you have any candy? Do you have anything? It's this tiny little bedraggled girl holding her puppy dog. Would you let me in? Would you give us some candy? So whoever it is, the narrator of the song, Dolly, or the Dolly stand-in, lets the girl in with her dog, feeds her, gives her a place to stay for the night. Girl explains, my dad's out drunk, my mom's God knows where, terrible people, etc. I'm abused, and then lets her stay. And what happens over the night? The little girl goes to heaven, right? And you get verklempt because the dog doesn't want her to be alone in heaven. But check this out. And the dog joins her. So we're both crying, and we're both watching the explanation of this song. And Joyce is like, I'm so sad. The dog dies. And through my tears, I'm like, a little girl died in this song.
No, but I feel sad that the dog went with her. It's sad that she did it, but it's even more sad that the dog wouldn't leave her alone.
I know, but we love dogs. We lost 2 dogs. We love our dogs, but it's sort of like the dog died. The girl, girls die. They do. And she was in bad shape. She was going to die.
She did want candy. If all shade is candy, what do you think?
Yeah. But then it was like, but the dog. But then I was thinking more about how sick this song is. Because think about it now. It isn't even just this little girl shows up, on her last night. And it's kind of nice that she has one sort of nice good night before she goes to heaven, right? Somebody takes her in, gives her candy. Well, she said, no, in the lyrics, the little girl goes to heaven.
We don't know that. That's an assumption.
Well, there's an assumption by the narrator, and the dog joins her. But imagine if this happened to you in the song, and you want to be a good Samaritan, and a little girl who's in bad shape is standing there with a puppy, and say, you know what? Well, why not? She's probably got terrible trouble at home. I'm going to take her in, feed her,
We have a thing called child protective
get her a good
services.
life. But that's not what happens in the song. In the song, imagine you're that person. You wake up, well, I think I'll make her pancakes this morning. And you go upstairs, and now suddenly there's a dead girl in your bed with a dead dog. And nobody's going to bury you. Fuck, I got to bury them? Is that what kind of, this is a song against being a good Samaritan.
That'd be an investigation.
Yeah, they might say, the police might come to your door, because you got to call them in the coroner, and the police will say, this girl, she was abused, but she was alive when she came to you at 11 o'clock last night. Now, 7 hours later, well, we're going to go in your kitchen and your basement. We're going to test everything. We're going to take you down to the station for questioning. And she had a dog, too. I know you buried it. We have to exhume it.
Bill said, hard to pull away yet through this story.
But think about all the terrible trouble that this stupid little girl brought to this, and as Joyce is mentioning, not the brightest person opening the door, because if you see a girl like that, maybe if she's in that bad shape where she's going to die overnight, you may want to drive her to like Beth Israel. It's like, ain't you got some candy? Come, little girl, let's go to Mount Sinai.
Call Child Protective Services
Yeah.
or bring her to an Appalachian hospital.
it kind of it amuses me when I think more and more about this song, and it's so effective, and it's such a
And
tearjerker.
it's not
And
supposed to be an intellectual hit. It's a gut punch.
it is a gut punch, but think about it. You know, think about just what happened. It's sort of the opposite of that old Bob Dylan song about as I went out one morning, and it's just this really cryptic, odd, simple song about guy who goes out one morning, and then there's this woman who comes and takes him by the arm and wants to bring him somewhere. And he's like, get off me. And she gets on, and then Tom Paine comes up and brings her away. And so, that's what should happen in the Dolly Parton song. It's like a little girl shows up at your door, and you're like, go call Easter seals. We don't want any. I don't need the trouble. Thank you, little girl. Come back on Halloween. I will leave you all the candy that you want. But you're not setting foot in here.
Well, in the song, why wouldn't you just give them a meal and send them on their way? That's what normal people would do.
Well, would you just kind of dump her outside your stoop?
No, I would probably call it.
And actually, it doesn't necessarily say that she died in the house. Maybe they did give her candy and a meal.
They kicked her out the porch.
Yeah, you go out on the porch in the morning to sweep the. Oh, God damn it. Little girl, come on, can't sleep here.
They say that she was in the bed.
Oh, did she?
She was in the bed, I think, and they found her. I'm going to look up the lyrics.
And she ascended to heaven with her puppy dog, me and little Andy, from the great songwriter Dolly Parton. But I was just like, whoa. I mean, what an awful thing to.
It says.
Yeah.
Gingerbread. I got to show more.
Yeah, show all the lyrics. And actually, we have our guest coming in.
She was just a girl no more than 6 or 7, but that night as they slept, the angels took them to heaven.
Doesn't say where they sleep, though.
But I think with her, is the thing. God knew that little Andy would be lonesome with her gone, so now Sandy and her puppy dog won't ever be alone,
Yeah, there you go. Oh, so wait, the dog didn't choose to join her?
No, God took the dog.
Wow, and God is a son of a bitch, isn't he?
But that night as they slept, angels took them both to heaven. God knew little Andy would be lonesome with her gone. Now Sandy and her puppy won't be alone.
Oh my God, I thought the dog chose to sort of die with its master.
No.
But this is just God killing a girl and a dog. Thank you, Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Look who's coming into the Daverhood. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It should be Pescatelli.
Shalom! Oh, shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sal Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I am thrilled and delighted to be here on this Shmini Atzeret, the day before Simchas Torah, to finish off the big old Sukkot holiday. And the reason I am here is because not just to celebrate with you, not just to, let me fix my dollars here. And by the way, if you want to join me later, I will be rioting in Cedarhurst. I brought a lighter, and I'm going to set fire to a gefilte fish, my friends. This is going to be my protesting everything that's going on in the world right now. And what we are doing is we're waiting for a comedian, and I know that's the old sexist term for, she's going to be with us right this second. Let me tell you about this comedy human being that is joining us, I hope, and let me put her on gallery view when she comes in. And, pretty picture there, but are we just going to, let's see the face. Oh, that's the face, shalom.
Oh, shalom, how are you?
Oh, I am fine. What is that thing? Does that have batteries in it? What are you talking into there?
This is my microphone. Oh, wow, that's really loud when I do it. That's very loud, isn't it?
Oh my God, I'm not going to make the joke, but ladies and gentlemen.
I know. Please, it's too early on a Saturday.
It's too early.
How are you today?
Thank you for asking. The lovely person we're talking to, let me give you a proper introduction, is Tammy Pescatelli. She is a comedian who has been several times on Last Comic Standing. She is a former morning radio host. She has had a special on Netflix called Finding the Funny, and we hope we will find the funny today. And you will, I'm going to also ask about this a little later, you're going to have a column or something if they revive the Weekly World News, because we want to
Yes,
talk
we
about
actually have one right now online.
Well, well, anyway, welcome, Shalom, Tammy Pescatelli. Talk about the Weekly World News.
Well, the Weekly World News is amazing, and we all remember it at the counter when you would go to check out when we were children. It was fun, and it had Bat Boy, who I just got this word. I don't get political, but Bat Boy is running for president. He's right wing and left wing. That's what it is.
Wings, this is funny to me. Yes, well done.
Yeah. Yes, and they're trying to revive it, so they have a Kickstarter campaign. I think you can actually. This is one of the levels, but it's fun and it's light, and there's so much angst in the world, and there's so much just brokenness that I wanted to participate. I mean, that's why I became a comic, to make people laugh, and now it's hard to make people laugh because we're not allowed to actually go out. I had a tour to Israel, as a matter of fact, canceled again because Israel shut down
that was a
again.
hot spot. You don't want to.
Yes,
You don't want to go in. I mean, it's always hot, but.
Right, it's always hot. But and it's always, it depends on where you go. In it whether. But we just I wanted to make people laugh, so I said, let me partake in this. This will be fun. Let me exercise my comedic chops. Let's talk about some fun things. And
what kind of stories have you been writing for the resuscitated Weekly World News?
First, let me say this.
Oh.
The Weekly World News calls themselves the world's only reliable news. Okay. And my story, it was so many. We're on week 5 now. But like some of the ones I wrote about were the zombie who was fired for not wearing a mask. What part of I'm already dead don't you understand?
Because it used to be biting, but now a zombie, all you have to do is breathe, and the zombie droplets get on you.
That's right. So it's just been a lot of fun, and I'm just trying to have some fun with it and enjoy it. I even started, I'm so grateful to be on your podcast because I'm one of the few comedians, like literally you said all that stuff. I've done the Tonight Show 7 times. I had the week that the world shut down, I had a special come out on Showtime, a new special come out on Amazon Prime. I was on the Today Show, getting ready for another Tonight Show, and boom, the world shut down. So I just wanted to have fun. I even started a podcast based on that column called News from Abroad.
Okay, News from Broad. No, I noticed the verbal comedy of Tammy Pescatelli. We got the wolf whistle happening. This is
boy, somebody who can't see very well. Who's there? Is it a great grandfather? I'm sure.
Let me ask you a question here. First thing I don't understand necessarily is that you are Tammy Pescatelli, and yet that is neither your birth name, your maiden name, it's not your husband's name either. Where the hell did the last name come from?
It was my grandfather's name. He came to this country, and as lots of immigrants did I think he came in 1937. He changed his name to make it more Americanized. So he took his sponsor's name, and then Pescatelli, it's actually Pescatelli, is his last name. And one of his biggest regrets was that he let it go. That was a generation that they came here, they changed their names to make people think that they weren't really, they wanted to trick people into thinking, yes, I'm part of this culture. But meanwhile, you're still 3'2" and have a heavy Italian accent. Like they really didn't blend,
No, my great ancestors, their name was Solomon Heimanowitz. So I shortened it. Somehow people still peg me as Jewish. I don't know why.
That was my managing company. I used to Maura Bresner, Steinberg, and Tannenbaum. But those were 5 people.
Yeah. Did anybody encourage you not to have such an Italian name or persona, or did you're of an age already where they would say, no, be yourself, pick the name you want? No,
because don't forget, I'm 26 years in this business. And they did say, why would you use Pescatelli? Why would you? But I did that even personally. I took Pescatelli personally just to honor him because I was so close with him.
But would they have told you, be Sandy Powers?
I said, that's what, sure, people said that, but look at this nose. I was never going to change this nose. So why? I said, do you think that I'm going to walk in and we're going to trick people to think I'm Tammy Johnson? I mean, look at me. I look middle, I look Jewish when I am in Israel. Some people do think that I'm Israeli. Some people think that I'm Italian. If I'm in Greece, some people think that I'm Greek. But I have a, Mediterranean face.
If I'm in Greece, I just need towels all over me because it's just really dripping off
An
me.
ethnic girl, and I embraced it, and I refused to change. And so I said, you know what, we'll just go all the way to the 10th power. Let's make sure that we have it. So,
Well, is being Italian the gift that keeps on giving? Is being ethnic in terms of being a comedian? Is it always, oh, I don't know what to make a joke about. I don't even know what to do. Oh, wait, I'm Italian. There's always something.
yeah, well, that's what I mean, when I first started, all I did is I was a narrator, basically. I just told stories of my family. That's why I seem to do well in all ethnic groups, because when we grow up the way we grow up, when you're an ethnic, now that's why I get so upset now, because they throw us all in one bland category. When you grow up Italian or Jewish or Greek, or even some of the Russian cultures, and we have these, everybody knows that the guilt is ridiculous. Okay. There's always a brother that's doing better than you. There's always a sister that got married first and had the babies, and you what's wrong with you? How come
I
you
haven't
don't
had
have money for the
anything
wedding?
at all.
Right,
Well, my wife has 21 and a half. I've got none. So I'm still.
I see. And I said to, when people started saying trolls on the internet and things like that, and I even wrote a joke about it. I said, you have nothing on me. A troll who doesn't know me is nothing compared to my Nona sitting down at dinner relating all my flaws and foibles.
Speaking of trolls, what is your method of controlling hecklers? So if you've been in the business 26 years, you must have had drunk people in the crowd. You must have people who were like, show us your boobs, show us your elbows.
Yes,
I get
everything.
elbows a lot.
Yes, no, for real. That's one. It's because, yes, I started as a young girl, so I had to really fight really hard. And I just always went in. I just went in for the kill, because this is how I make my living. What I just kept saying is I would not just let go. People always said that I was like a rabid dog, because if you heckled me and I got you, then I would turn around and keep bringing it back to you. And I try for a while to be kind, but then when I know that the audience can't take it anymore, then it's fun for me to go in, because then I know I have everybody behind me. So I don't really rip into people unless they bring it first.
Have you ever been frightened, though, that someone you went after on stage who was a little beyond just a little drunk and heckly, but might be a little, and then you go out after the show, the parking lot, and whatever. Have you ever been worried about?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially when I was younger, because I didn't have my voice enough to say to a club, I need security to walk me out, or because I had to. It's funny, early on, you almost had to make yourself smaller as a woman in order to work, because I didn't want to seem needy. You didn't want to be known as a diva. So I tried to blend in with the men. And a guy wouldn't say, walk me to my car. So as a woman, I would try not to ask for anything special. It's very poignant that you heard that in this story, in this crazy story that I have.
But let me also ask you, you mentioned being in the business 26 years. So this was kind of after that giant wave, I think, or was it during, that carried all these people into sitcoms that were just every other building on a street was a comedy club.
Yes.
This was during the down after that, or was it during?
Yes, of course, because everything that happens to me, I mean, is always just after. I always show up the day after they sold the winning lottery ticket. That's who I am. Yes, I'm writing a book called Death by Paper Cuts, because it's like every day it's always small insights, small little.
Actually, you know, it's funny. I have an uncle who had prostate cancer by paper cuts.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh. It's not a funny thing.
But we laugh anyway. But
yeah.
so
because that's the thing. By the way, that's the other thing that I think that this younger generation coming up is missing. We laugh not to make fun. We laugh to forget. and they're not allowing us to laugh because they're criticizing each step. Like comedy is under a microscope now because it's being seen in 30-second clips, and it's not your specific audience. Like, I'm not supposed to entertain 7 generations. I don't want the world to love me.
Oh, I want the world to love me. I want everybody to love me, and they all hate me. It's horrible.
Well, you know, but you want a specific demographic to like you, you know, because who are you if you want everybody? You say nothing if everybody loves you. That one of the best things, Buddy Mora, who was my manager, and those guys were Buddy, David Steinberg. He's still alive. He had some amazing. He's Bette Midler. He's got amazing. I was so
Another
blessed.
Jew. Yes, keep mentioning Jews. I love
Great,
it.
great. Avi Lieberman. I have to say hi to Avi Lieberman because he mentions me in all of his. But he said to me, when you get off stage, they should know what you think. So if they're driving home and they think, what would Tammy say about that? They already know. And so that's who I've tried to really become. Who I am on stage is me, but again, to a larger degree.
But where do you stand in terms of what people are calling censorship in comedy or self-censorship in comedy right now, because you can't make a joke about X, Y, and Z? I mean, do you feel that there should be any boundaries, or with comedy is just like, you know, let all the cattle out of the ranch, and if some wander back, that's fine? I have no idea what that metaphor means.
You know, and I know you and I don't look like I would love to see the two of us go to a ranch together. I think that's a show that would be a hit show for everybody. If you and I go to a ranch, we're...
I have hoofing mouth by the first afternoon. Get me out of here! I would brand myself accidentally. It'd be terrible. Yeah.
They're definitely gonna leave for sure. No, here's the thing. For me, I do think that there's a level of sensitivity you should kind of have and try to...
Even as a comedian. Even
to some degree, but I fight for whatever any comic wants to do because their intent is to make people laugh. So if you start with censorship is a slippery slope to a lot of other problems. So I don't think we should censor anything. Personally, would I go out and make a joke about something? God forbid a plane crashes, right? And would I go out that night and tell airline material? That wouldn't be me, but somebody might, and that's okay because that's their style. But mine, I'm talking about how annoyed I was that my mother-in-law wishes she bought me a plane ticket for that day, of anything. So
that's very funny. That's very. But let me also ask you, and again, getting back to being at 26 years ago, a young girl in the business. I mean, did you ever have to look at like Louis C.K.'s penis? Did you ever have to deal with stuff like? No, I'm serious. Did you?
Look at the background. There's only in Paint by Numbers. It was the weirdest thing.
Well, his is only like 4 numbers.
The weirdest thing. I did a Paint by Numbers once, and it turned out to be Louis C.K. No, I'll tell you what happened. Early on, the very, 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 very first weekend, used to have to stay in comedy condos is what they called them. And for those who aren't familiar, you obviously they had, it was just an apartment, and it was a filthy apartment, by the way, half the time. And it was 2 or 3 rooms, or usually 3, obviously, because there was an MC, a feature, and a headliner. And my very first weekend, I'm just an MC, I'm asleep, it's 2:00 in the morning, and the feature act is pounding on my door. Let me in, let me in. And I wake up, and I'm kind of...
Not on the front door, but on your bedroom door.
On my bedroom door, because I'm now living for the week in order for me to work Tuesday through Sunday with 2 strange men. Okay, so he's pounding on the door. Let me in, let me in. And the Italian word is bumbleed, when you wake up and you don't know where you are, and and so I'm all bumbleed. I don't know what I'm doing. And I say, what? And then as I wake up, he's pounding. And he says, I said, what's the matter? What do you want from me? And he said, I want to,
Oh my God. He wanted to daven with you. He couldn't find 9 other Jewish men. So
he's like, I want, and I said, get away. And it's clear he's drunk. Then the headliner came out, and he's a magician. He actually has a wonderful show in Vegas now. His name is Mac King. God bless him. He deserves what a mensch. He deserves every good thing that has ever happened.
Well, more than a rabbit out of his hat, let me tell you. Yeah.
Well, you know what he did? He had a brick in his act that he would go, oh, that fell over like a brick, you know, like he'd do a joke and then drop the brick all of a sudden out of it. And he had the brick in his suit. He came out, he's a small guy, like little, but he came out with a brick and he told the guy, go back to your room right now, get away from her door. Then he pulled me aside the next day and he said, if this is what you want to do, then you're going to have to be tough. And you're going to, because there's not always going to be somebody there to protect you. You don't even know if that person could join in. So I got tough. That day I told the guy the next day, I said, because don't forget, we didn't have cell phones. So I said, there's one phone here in the kitchen. And when your wife calls on it, I'm going to tell her what you did the next time. So I'd watch yourself. And then I started, I never dated comics because I knew I'd have to live with them. And you could never know what someone would say about you and your reputation could get sullied. So I just said, hey, and so when people would say, oh, I dated her, the other guys would go, no, you didn't, because she doesn't date comics. So I just kind of kept everything separate. And I just tried to put my head down and work. That was a different time. Female comics, we just put our heads down. We worked. We wanted to be like the guys. They say, was there masculine toxicity?
Actually, the guys wanted you to put your heads down, but not work.
I'm sure that's exactly what he was trying to get in the bedroom that day. But I tell you, they always go, there's toxic masculinity. And I'm like, well, we were just as masculine, the female comics of that generation,
Which is kind of interesting because, and yes, being a male, I'm dwelling on the being an entertainer. I'm dwelling on the sex stuff and the stuff that you're a hot girl and kind of. So you were a cheerleader at one point.
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah, I was all through high school, and that's what was fun about my new special called the Way After School Special. We went back to my old high school. And that was fun. And I performed in front of all my old friends and some of the teachers who were still alive, because I had and my vice principal, I had a teacher or a guidance counselor in 10th grade. I said, I'd like to be an actress. And she said, I grew up outside of Cleveland, Ohio, a small little town. And she said, you're from here. No one from here has ever been on TV. If you want to be on TV, you're going to have to rob a bank. So,
I thought she'd say like move to New York or something like that, or California.
No, it took literally it took 23 years before I went back and filmed it. And when I went to tell her off, she was dead. But whatever. It's the idea. She
was actually dead holding a puppy dog. It was kind of
yeah, she was so sweet. She turned very sweet.
But is there that sense of when people go back for their high school reunions and college reunions and things, and going back to your eyes, was there a sense of validation, even though the one person you wanted to show up couldn't show up? When there's that sense of, hey, I'm a successful person in a field that doesn't have a lot of successful people in it necessarily. A lot of people fall by the wayside because it's a tough field. Did you walk in and stroll in and go?
It was fun for that. I will say that was truly one part of it. Just if it wasn't even to show off, it was more to show myself, hey, I did it. Because there was a lot of times that I didn't believe in myself. When you go through a career like this, I'm not a legacy. I didn't have anybody in show business. No one from my family came from. My grandfather came here and had a fruit cart. The other ones worked on the docks. My father played football. My mother was a nurse. There was no.
When he played football, was he an NFL kind of a?
The old days, yes, semi-pro, and then he became a teacher, and then he worked then he was a regional manager for New York Life. But I mean, I grew up in just a regular family. I didn't have any show business. When I said I wanted to be in show business, and I took a map and said, all right, I'll see you later, and left. They didn't know where to find, I went around with an atlas. So yes, there was that. But you know what else was great for me is I wanted to show the kids that were at that school that it is possible, because if I would have had one person who was like me, I wanted to make myself accessible. I had the kids who were in the art department and in the theater program work alongside of the professionals who filmed my special, so they could ask them questions, so they could be on it, so they could graduate with a credit already on television. So that was fun. And we set up a scholarship, and then it was fun to just make the town laugh, you know?
Absolutely. By the way, we're talking with Tammy Pescatelli here on the David By program. I'm Rabbi Saul Solomon, of course. And if you're looking at your screen and not sure who's who, you know, Rabbi Saul.
If we do this sideways, no one's going to know because my beard will show.
Well, when you were in school, what would kids have thought you would have become? What did you, did you have a fail-safe job? Like, if this stand-up comedy thing doesn't work out by the time I'm 30, let's say, I'll be ...
Yes. Well, that's what happened to me. I think that guidance counselor took the wind out of my sails, and I went to college for fashion design, although still creative. But yeah, I was going to work somehow in the fashion industry, whatever it was. I mean, who knows? I could end up just being a department store. I could have been the greeter at Walmart at some point. Who knows? But that's what I wanted to do, although I never got to pursue it.
By the way, do not look down on that. I have been not a greeter, but a chaser away at Walmart.
I'm not looking down on any job right now. Trust me. Well,
so
I haven't had
making pissy in the aisle. I'm like, get out of here. They hire me to do that. You know, they're making trouble. I'm the chaser away at Walmart. You can steal that joke.
You're the pilot. You're the pilot. You pilot up over here and you pilot up over there.
Well, that's very good. Let me ask you though. Yes, it's a ridiculous, crazy time to be in almost any profession that is entertainment oriented. So how have you been managing the past 7-8 months?
It's been hard, and especially me because I am not one who gets cast a lot. You know, I've done a few. I recently had just done my first lead in a movie, and of course it came out during COVID, so that's it. Like I said, death by paper cuts. So most of the way I support my family is through performance, live stand-up, you know what I mean? And I've just been able to, thank goodness, I put a lot of stuff away. I had worked really hard. I had put some money away. We kind of coasted on that for a while. And there's been enough, just a very few shows that I'm able to do for corporations over the internet. I can't do those big shows that everybody's doing over the internet. They like do regular stand-up shows because I just put my special out right before it happened. So I'd rather you watch my special where comedy is where, you know, comedy and sex they're not meant to be over the internet.
Where you were going with that?
No. So it's just, we're trying. I've been writing for a lot of people, which is good because a lot of people were just lifting my material anyway. So it's nice to have some.
Here we go. Oh boy. We're heading towards the Amy Schumer mill now. So this is.
What was that? A baby doll?
We have a noise-making machine here. This is fantastic. This is the most beautiful thing ever. Listen, there's different horrible noises on it, such as.
I think my son had that, and it drove me nuts when he was little. He's 12 now, so that's great.
So I'll keep this handy during the rest of the interview. Hold on.
It's good. Keep it in the plastic so you can return it because you're going to want to.
We're Jewish. We keep everything in plastic. Our couch is in plastic.
Italians too, trust me.
Yeah. The bed, the lamps have plastic all over them. There's literally nothing you can touch. It's like we were wearing masks before we were. It's
the true. The museum, right?
What the hell are we gonna? What was I gonna ask you? Oh shit! All right.
I don't know, but it's just
fun.
Yes.
The joke stealing thing, quote unquote. You went out there. I mean, you basically accused Amy Schumer of
no,
no,
I didn't. Here's the thing. Really, honestly, it's the true story is 3 other people did it prior to me. I was 4th, but I was the lowest ranking on the totem pole, if you will, in show business. So when it all settled down, I said as much that, hey, we love you and we want you to do well. Just do it with your own material, because I wasn't saying, the fact of the matter is there were several dozen incidences of linear thinking, if you will, or
parallel thinking was the phrase.
And there's clearly, when you have that much parallel thinking, a period needs to be put at the end of the sentence, and we need to kind of figure out and regroup. To me, the unfortunate part is I didn't have a publicist. I had just had my son. I'm sitting around in my house in Pennsylvania, and I was an easy fall guy. I didn't start it, but I was the one that ended up being the face of it. And then, of course, I mean, I also am Italian, and I am the loudest, and I say it the way I say it. And what I was saying was not mean. I have no personal problem. God bless Amy. All her success, I wish her the world, and her family and everything else. The only thing is that when a comic, it's not about her. It's the rules of comedy. We used to police ourselves. And what is unfortunate, here's what's really unfortunate, is where I was really wrong is I should have quietly backed them up, maybe behind the scenes. We did it on the internet. We took it all down off of Twitter, but it was early when we didn't know the power of that kind of stuff. We did take it all down, but by then people were screenshotting stuff. And I don't know if it was a slow news week or what, but it became like people love to see women fight. And it's not about
King Jello.
Right. And it was like, it wasn't a personal thing. It's not personal. This is business, and people, this is my material.
No, I'm forget even the personal. I mean, it's a heavy thing to accuse someone, male or female, of a certain kind of plagiarism. And then again, if it's a Bob Dylan thing, if he writes a song where he's quoting 3 lines from a dead poet from 100 years ago, and then the whole melody is taken very obviously from another song, Bob Dylan will say, nah, it's in the ozone, and it's still my own composition. I don't need.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than that, though, because this had been several times where several comics had taken her aside and said, hey, that's my joke. And it was always met with, I'm sorry, didn't know. So it's you know what? God bless. She deserves all the success, and it just shouldn't have been public. That's where I was wrong. I should have kept my mouth quiet in public and just dealt with it behind the scenes.
Do you do all your own writing? Because some comedians, they do tell other people's jokes, but they pay for them. They have writers
That's
who
right.
craft.
That's right. I do my own writing, but that's probably because I can't afford anybody else to do it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do my own writing. It just feels comfortable to me. Doesn't mean that it's the most brilliant in the world, but for me, I like to know where the joke came from. So when I talk about, my mother-in-law, and I say, how many times was she going to call my house? And then I answer the phone and she says, who is this? Who is going to be answering the phone at this house? Who is married to your son, right?
Like that could be a parallel thought for some other person, since your comedy is universal, and since all ethnic families are kind of the same, it's very possible there is a Jewish or a Black comedian who's going to think of that thing and go, what is it? Every time she says, who is it?
That's very true. Here's the problem with that thought, though. Here's the problem. And this is this is the last thing I'll say, because an Academy Award winning writer. I told you all those wonderful names that I have had. I was blessed to come into this business around people who had been in this business for a long time. And they were, Larry Bresner was part of that group, and he was still alive at the time, and he carried.
Is that a Jewish person?
Well, Larry was Melissa Manchester's first manager at the time, you know what I mean, and was married to her for a long time. And they have Robin Williams and Billy Crystal, and Robin even was alive at the time. And I went and sat over there and sat quietly and crying because this was all coming down on my shoulders. And I was told by Larry, who is, an Academy Award winning producer for Arthur, he said, the thing is when people can have parallel thoughts, but none of us think. For example, there are so many books at the library on dinosaurs, right? Nothing's new on dinosaurs in hundreds of years. But none of those books have the exact same information in the exact same sentence structure. And that's where the difference came, because the things would come out in the same sentence structure with just the tweaks. But I don't think it, when we go back and you have the helicopter picture of it, I do not believe that it was one person. I think, personally, I think Amy was left holding a bag from writers who went and lifted things.
Oh, well, yeah.
And took it to her.
It isn't
And that's where it was
necessarily has her ear to a comedy club is what I'm taking that. It's probably a little more filtered.
Well, I really originally thought, listen, I don't smoke, and I don't know that she does. I don't know who, but I do know people. I know I got a cousin who's a stoner, and he thinks he invented the lawnmower. So like, you just never know what's in the anals of someone's mind.
Well, I mean, I guess lawnmowers do deal with weeds. Terrible. I'm sorry. I apologize. I do apologize for that. Still, some more questions for the delightful Tammy Pescatelli. Let me ask you. You talk about when you came up. Who and there were people who did help you and mentor you. Do you have comedy idols? Well, I'm thinking, of course, Joan Rivers, maybe, or Toby Fields, perhaps. But who did you look to?
Well, for me, it was very difficult. It's funny because when I was coming up, there weren't a lot of young women for me to look at who were my age. So,
there may be.
Sorry?
Maybe Rita Rudner or.
Well, but Rita was older. She was talking about her husbands. And so I'm like in my 20s and there wasn't a lot. And it's funny. It's exactly where I am now, talking about my husband and the facelift that I'd like to have and, all this stuff. So it's, I didn't have a lot, but there were, and a lot of the women that I love, the Paula Poundstones, the Ellen, the Elaine Boozler, like Elaine Boozler truly to me was one of my favorites coming. Carol Leifer, because they were able to be women and sarcastic. I love sarcasm. Like, I wish I could tell joke pop 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 pop, that rhythm, that pop pop pop, or the fast underling like Halen does that, that so passive aggressive. Yeah, Wendy Liebman, that's amazing. But Elaine Boozler and Carol Leifer were two of my absolute favorites because they were just killers, and still are, by the way, still are.
So, and is there a comedian that you'd like to give a shout out to in terms of someone who really, like the guy who protected you with a brick, but somebody who has like really taught you, this is how you set up a thing, this is how you come off the stage, you need a look, anybody who really mentored you?
Nobody really did that, but so many were able to help me by just giving me work. Dom Irera, okay? Yeah, John Panette, who passed away. Louis Black in the beginning. George Lopez took me on tour. So many amazing comedians did some really nice things for me because it was just work. Work begat work. If you could get me work, then the rest of it. And then there'd be tags out. But the one who gave me the most advice, I was 10 years already in, but who really helped me was Mitzi Shore at the Comedy Store. Mitzi really took me under her wing, talked me through things. She wanted me to go on stage in a slip and a sweater, a la, all the Italian, Sophia Loren, Gina Lollobrigida, with a glass of wine. That's what she wanted me to do. But I said, I'm not real comfortable with that. But
did you try it one night? Because,
I did, because I wanted to please her.
Right. Did it work? Or did you feel like, nah, this ain't gonna.
It just didn't feel, I'm tough, It felt too feminine for me. And even though I'm a woman, I'm a broad, like I'm a tough broad. And, it just felt I was exposed, trust me, but I felt really exposed because I didn't have my armor,
Well, that very first time you walked out on stage to tell jokes, 10 years earlier, let's say, or 11, 12, I mean, what got you through? What would you remember that night and where it was? And
it was money.
Your first gig, you got paid? You didn't do like...
No. I won a bet. So my brother, when I graduated from fashion design school, my parents had moved out of the Cleveland area. And they lived in a place called the Quad Cities, which was like Iowa and Illinois. And I had nothing to do for that summer but hang out with them because I had an internship in New York in the fall. But when you're 21 years old, it's hard to make friends. I'm spending the summer with them. My brothers are not little, but they're in high school. They're younger than me. So I got a job at the comedy club because I loved comedy. I thought I'll watch comedy. I was a waitress, the world's worst waitress, but at least I'd meet some young people, hang out for the summer, and then I'd go to New York. Well, the very first week I was there, a woman came through, and it was the first time I had ever, like, it was almost like that moment in those horror films when they meet the vampire and they go, "What are you?" Like I had never seen a woman my age. Like, it was a young girl, and she was an MC. And in my own quest, I went home and I said, "Oh, I think I'm funnier than her." And my brothers went, "Oh, really? We'll bet you." And they put their money to, "We'll bet you $50. Well, I'm a college kid. I need $50. So I was like, "Okay, I'll bet." And then I went on stage. And the first joke I ever wrote was one of the things I used to say at nightclubs, because you can't tell now. And listen, my breasts used to sit very high. Now I just like to die before they hit the floor. That's my goal of happiness. But, in a time before breast implants, where people used to say to me at the nightclub, "Are those real?" And I'd say, "If I'd had that kind of money, don't you think I'd have had my nose fixed first?"
Oh,
Right?
Deprecating. Also, it's got everything
Right.
you need for the rest of your life as a stand-up comedian.
Yes, and then
It's got the tips. You've got it all right in there.
right, and then, by the way, don't feel bad, because then when I had the money, I said, I have the money now. I just don't want to lose the joke. So,
Well done. And I'll bet that first laugh you got with lines like that, and that first thing, you're like, Was it addictive? Was it just like you stood up there shaking like a leaf, but then a little laughter comes through and like, "I'm doing this."
Well, I was too naive to be afraid, I think, because I was the person in the plays that if you forgot your line, I would improv you through. And in my head, I've always just been able to rationalize things. I thought, well, if I forget my act, who knows? What's the worst they could do? Not laugh at me. All right, then this isn't for me. So I was really lucky that first time. It was sponsored by a radio station, and they asked me to come in and sit in on the morning show and kind of co-host, play around co-host. They had several comics. Then I did well. Then they asked me to come in as a regular co-host. Then it became my show. Then I was a host. So that's how.
Oh, that was the radio thing. Yeah. Do you miss radio? Do you miss, being up there at 4 a.m?
Yeah, no. I did it for 2 years. It was 2.5 years. It was great because I called it comedy college, because I was an MC, house MC at night at the comedy club. And then on Friday mornings, I would ask the comic to come in so I could interview them. And then I would take them to breakfast afterwards and pick their brain. And that's how I knew so many people. When I quit and went on the road full time in 1994, I was able to, boom, right away, work 32 weeks because I knew so many people.
That's absolutely.
Not enough to have a great career for the rest of my life, but definitely.
Well, speaking of the rest of it, what are you planning on? Like, they just yesterday said that Broadway won't be opening until like May at the earliest. Is it? So what is your schedule? What are you going to do? What's still do what you're doing? Are you planning on some kind of gigs in, let's say, fall of 2021 or what?
Well, right now we have everything scheduled for spring of 2021, winter and spring. So hopefully, because not everything, I travel all over. So not like I have literally a gig in November in Omaha. I have a few things in December. Not all the world is shut down the way, like the country is shut down the way New York and LA are. Yeah.
So in Omaha, is it a virtual, or is it people in cars watching, or literally?
No, it's a real show, and because it's a beautiful thing, because they had a capacity. I'm really blessed that I'm at the point in my career I was, who knows where we go back, but I would be in small theaters or larger comedy clubs, so they can hold 600 people at their comedy clubs. So at half capacity, they're 300.
So you can still get. But thing is, it not going to be weird in the sense, because one of the things that they do, speaking of Broadway, is when you do a show, you keep it cold and you pack everybody to you. You want the theater full, even if you have to give away tickets. You want people sitting next to each other, because bodies, they clap together. Yes. You're going to be staring. No, because families will still sit together even if they're distanced.
Right, they can sit with their own. And I swear to you, it's so bizarre. as I saw it kind of trickle down, and I heard it's so different in every state by state. My son is going to full day, all day school here in Northwest Pennsylvania.
And he's 47 years old. It's very,
47. It's a
graduating
weird.
at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, but full day, all day school. And, you know, that's so bizarre to me. And I had a choice to try to figure out whether I wanted to send him or not. But in our little community, they had only had 3 cases.
Alibi. Oh, yeah. Alibi is from my people.
That's right. Yes, I know.
Stay that way, you know.
I know. Trust me. Look, you see, this is still on from Jerusalem out by the wall.
Yeah, did you
Come on.
read that specifically for me? No. But
No, it's been on for 2 years. It hasn't fallen off. God bless me.
Wait, will you shower with that thing?
Everything. It just stays on.
Muslim.
They tied it on as I left the wall, and it's not fallen off yet.
Yeah. Although it was white when you first put it on. Wash it a little bit.
It was this thick. It was a sleeve. This was a sweater. It seems impressive until you know it was a sweater.
I remember when something else with this thick, I'm telling you. But you know, we're talking with Tammy Pescatelli. You know, just a couple of more, if you have a couple more minutes with her, because I do.
Can I tell you what I did? This is my dining room, but I took a picture of it just in case my dining room is a mess. So this is actually the green screen. But that's
I can tell because on the very, very edge of your green screen, it's sort of fading in and out blue. It's a very, but you have better green screen than most I've ever seen, quite honestly.
Well, I took a picture of my real dining room, and my husband was laughing so hard at me. He said, "Why would you do that?" And I said, "Because this way, I'm not trying to put on. This is our house. It's not a big deal. People want to see where you live, and they want to see your house, but it doesn't always have to be clean."
It's a wonderful backdrop. It really, I could tell, you can just barely tell from your hair and the very edge of the screen.
And right here.
Yeah, but no, it's look at that. Look, whoa.
That was weird, right?
The weird thing is I fade in and out, and I'm not using any green screen at all.
Who's the lovely voice that I hear laughing with you?
This is the wife of the producer of the program. Her name is Joyce, and
Hi, Joyce.
She says, "Hi, Joyce." Joyce, say hi back.
Tell her that I live with an actor, so I know it's important to react.
Joyce,
I heard. That's awesome.
Shout, you tell her.
You tell her the menopause.
What menopause story? I never had menopause.
No, there was a.
This used to be white. Maybe that's what.
We were at a fringe festival, and there were 2 women with guitars from Australia in a room that should have had 1,000 people. There were 5 of us, and nobody laughed except me. And afterward, they called me up and they said, "We appreciate the laughs."
Oh, how sweet. Yeah.
With Fringe Festival, sometimes they put the wrong kind of act in the wrong room. So an act that would have been perfect in like a 50-seat theater in the round was literally in an auditorium that was 1,000. I don't know this personally. I'm remembering from Dave telling me. But it was in a giant room. And there were 5 people who showed up for the show.
Somebody said you should tell Tammy she's delightful.
Someone should tell me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, I think that's the one thing I think has happened. I just mentioned this to a friend of mine who's a comedian. I guess I needed humbled. I think a lot of comics, maybe we needed to appreciate what we do because it became about how many tickets you sell, how much money you're making, and maybe it needed to be broken back down to going, this is a necessary thing. Comedy really is an essential. We should have been called essential workers.
Yes.
You know, I needed to appreciate that, okay, maybe we will only, instead of selling 600 tickets, we'll only sell 300, but I should be grateful for that 300. And those 300 are going to need to laugh more than.
Right. And they will need to pay double.
3,000.
You're
yes. Well, and then, that's the other thing.
Yeah, I have to apologize.
I think as a community.
Yeah.
Did it fade out?
I
heard it. Yeah. It's weird. You know what happened? Like, where are you right now? I mean, I know you're in New York. What part of New York? What borough?
I'm in Long Island. You can't tell from the accent. Long Island, New York. Uh-oh, you're frozen.
She's New York. Because we have. Well, my husband's family's all in Park Slope in Brooklyn, and every time a plane goes over, we lose our Wi-Fi signal. Oh, that's weird, right?
So was there a plane there? Was it like?
No, I'm. Do you know where I am? I'm in Northwest Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Yeah, when I got pregnant, we were in Los Angeles, and I thought, oh, this will be a lovely place to raise a child. You know, we don't have family, but the weather's beautiful. And I was taking a walk and rubbing.
Rubbing something. Wait, you're uh-oh. Well,
So we went to Brooklyn.
yeah. Uh-oh. Now you.
For about 4 months. Oh,
Tammy.
no.
I'm
No.
only happy that this is happening late into the.
That's right.
Yeah, because we've
That's
talked
right. You hear me?
for some time now. So we maybe, unfortunately, I want to end this a little early because you're breaking up there, and breaking up is hard to do, as Neil Sedaka says. Oh, now you're back. Now it's
back.
wave you away. But everybody, go read Tammy Pescatelli. Do you have a
tell her the name of the book.
what book?
Her
No.
book.
What do you have a
Oh
book?
no, I'm writing a book right now called Death by Paper Cuts. But you can go to Amazon Prime. Both of my specials are on there. Finding the Funny, and because listen, no matter what has happened, a comic has told a joke about it. So Finding the Funny and the Way After School special are on Amazon Prime. My column in the Weekly World News, they're doing their Kickstarter campaign. Be part of that. Be on the inside. At certain levels, we can have our own private little conversation. It's a great. You know who's behind the new Weekly World News is the gentleman. You want to support Broadway, the gentleman who brought us 1 million different laughs from Broadway, Joe Cochran. Did I freeze up?
Right, Joe Coy, he's founded like Tony and Tina's Wedding or something like that, where he was
That's
the
right.
producer.
I'm frozen up again.
Yeah, no, actually, we just got through that name,
Okay.
Joe Corcoran, and he's starting up the Weekly World News, for which you are writing. Do you have do you put your byline in Weekly World, or is it just everything byline free in that thing?
No, I put my byline in there because I want to make sure, and then you can just go watch. Then you can watch my YouTube channel with the podcast News from Abroad. So that'd be awesome. Follow me everywhere, Instagram. Don't follow me home from the grocery store. That's all.
Don't even, because she carries a brick now. This is the smartest. You have a website, or is it Tammy Pescatelli?
Yes, Pescatelli.com. It's under construction right now because I'm telling you, this is a good time to do it because my schedule needed construction.
Well, I certainly want to. I want to ask you one more question while we can.
Sure, of course.
If this can happen, but which one can you, when you watch other stand-up comedians at this level of your career, can you enjoy them, or are you always dissecting? Are you always like, oh, I would do that joke a little differently, or if it really gets a big laugh, you get jealous, or can you just watch a stand-up comedian and go, funny?
Well, here's the thing. I love stand-up. So I'm a stand-up comedy fan and connoisseur and a purist. That was how I got even involved with all the chaos before, is because I'm a comedy purist. I was raised in this industry by people who protected stand-up a lot. So I love to watch people have laughs. I love to watch success. I'm not a jealous person because I think that's just something that you're either jealous or you're not. I'm more of what I do is when I watch someone like a Dave Chappelle or whatever, I gotta go, oh my God, I gotta throw everything away because this is junk. Well, everything in my act is junk. I gotta start again. And it makes me work hard. So I like that. Then there are times when I see someone and I thought, oh my gosh, there's that joke. God, how did that get there? Like, I'm very excited tonight. One of the best comedians of my generation is the host of SNL, Bill Burr.
Oh, Bill, yes, he's very.
And he's amazing. And he'll come up with jokes that I go, oh, how did I miss that? Oh, that's so beautiful. It's just right there. How did he get there? And I just love that. I'm a big fan of like I said, sarcasm and anger. So those are the ones that get me the most.
That's a story. I was born in a puddle of sarcasm and anger. I just
Right.
the womb with me, and it just came dripping off me. But
That's right.
without any sarcasm whatsoever, I must say that you have been an absolutely fantastic guest, Tammy Pescatelli. Everybody read her in Weekly World News. Everybody go see her comedy special.
I put the link.
I heard it. Thank you, Joyce.
We put the link in so that people can go there.
Instagram. I put her Instagram.
Your Instagram page. Follow her on Instagram. What is your Instagram?
Twitter, Facebook, and all you have to do is Google Italian comedian Tammy, and then it'll show you everything. If you
can't spell Pescatelli, and
yeah,
you can't spell
that.
Yeah, you can do it that way.
Tammy, that's
she's got a MySpace page. She's still, if you have a wine.
I'm not Lisa Lampanelli, by the way, though, because last week I was accused of racism. People were saying, you said this word, you said that word, and and I said, what are you talking? I was watching your special, and you said this word, and I said, where would I have said? I barely say anything that's controversial, and turns out it was Lisa Lampanelli. God bless her, but that's how she was the Don Rickles of our generation. So
let me ask you. I do have one.
Go ahead.
But was there a joke that came to you in the past 26 years that you just, this is the most perfect joke?
Yes.
I mean, like that moment you're like,
yes.
Yeah. What was? Share it because you've told it.
I'll tell you. It was a joke that changed my life. Now listen, I'm going to say it. It may not be. If you're easily offended, and it was a different time, it's not going to be a swear really, but it was a different time. We support women. We're in a different time. But this was 2003. It was right before my first Tonight Show. My brother, who had married a girl at age 20, they were 20 and 21. He'd known her for 3 months. She was a horrible person. She had really been disrespectful to my parents, disrespectful to me. She left him within 2 months of being married because all I had said was slow down. You don't need to get married this early. You don't know each other. And she had come from 5 divorces. I just thought, let's just slow down. Let's just slow down and be engaged for a couple of years. But she got very offended. And she said, oh, you only say this because you're almost 30 and not married. She said it was very mean and very rude. Well, she left him. She cheated on him with his best friend, took everything, broke everybody's heart. 2 weeks before I went on the Tonight Show, I wrote a joke because I knew she was going to be watching because she was very much about fame. She was very much about telling all her friends that I was her sister-in-law, no matter what. So I said, in my family, we tell the truth. If you're an idiot, we call you an idiot. If you're a dirtball, we call you a dirtball. If you're a whore, we call you my brother's wife. And it changed my career. It changed because it was my first joke from my real voice.
Oh yeah. Sometimes it takes a horrible tragedy in your family to really make things go forward.
Right, because I didn't care if I tanked my set. It was like some old righteous ancient lift up my family honor, but it turned out to be one of the best jokes and people just loved it. And then I even was able to tag on to that because then she threatened to sue me. And I said, I would tell people she threatened to sue me. I said, but first she's got to prove she's not a whore. Like, who's the jury of her peers? They don't register at the polls. They swing on them, so. And people to this day will come and ask me about, now he's been married, now it's on him. It turns out it was my brother. He's been married 4 times since. So obviously he's the problem. But I said his wives are like reverse Russian nesting dolls. They just get bigger and uglier as time goes on. So, it's just what it is. Thank God, or I wouldn't have an act. That's all I could say.
I'm so glad I asked that question. Ladies and gentlemen, what a way to go out with Tammy Pescatelli. Delightful. Google her, find her in all her different permutations. You will get laughs.
You are one of the best interviewers that I have ever. I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of these. I'm not kidding. Imagine, I've been doing this for 26 years. And you literally are ask insightful questions, thoughtful questions. It really, really, really wonderful.
I don't think there's a word pshaw, but pshaw. Thank you ever so much. And all that reflected back in your glory too. Thank you so much.
Thank
Tamara,
you.
I wish you so much more success and shalom to you.
Shalom.
Bye now.
Bye.
This always takes.
Get out of here.
Wonderful.
Go.
Find the thing, find the participant. And so bye-bye. She left. She figured out how to leave. None of the other guests know how to get out of here. I know how to get out of here. I play music. What? And, aside from the fact that she said very lovely things about me, which is the most important thing, wasn't that wonderful? Tammy Pescatelli, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Shmini Atzeret from your pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon. Let's bring Dave back into the Daverhood. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Dave's Gone By Facebook, yo podcast, yo programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. Gotta thanks so much, Rabbi Sol Solomon, for doing the honors. Oh, he's so lucky to get to talk to people like that. Tammy Pescatelli with us in the Daverhood. And yeah, that's probably the best part of the show is already over. But if you missed part of it or you want to share with people, remember that we archive these things and you can watch them at the website davesgoneby.com. Dave, like my name, davesgoneby.com, which is also, we have, going all the way back to our very first episode back in October of 2002. That's when we did our first one. It was late night radio, terrestrial radio, as our friend Trevor Bassel would know, and then just kept doing it and doing it and doing it for 18 years and counting. And virtually every episode that we've ever done is saved, archived for free at davesgoneby.com. Also, we've separated out the interviews we've done on the program. So if you just want to see the folks that we've talked to over the years, you can do that too. All at our website. We also put our old episodes at archive.org. Archive.org. I mean, no reason to go there if you're already going to davesgoneby.com, but if you want to support archive.org, which is this nonprofit organization that tries to collect all the art and media of the 19th, 20th, and 21st century. I mean, we kind of thought, hey, yeah, we're going to put our stuff on there. So archive.org, just look for Dave's Gone By there. We also have a channel, if you will, on castbox.fm, which is a podcasting place. So if you just care about the audio, if you just want to hear the show, you're out and about, you're on the bike at the gym or anything, you can't watch us. If you just want the audio, castbox.fm has all our episodes too. And we've got our episodes posted on YouTube. It's all there. Just do some Googling for Dave's Gone By. And, we're talking about now thousands of hours of entertainment. When we first started, our shows were an hour long, then sometimes an hour and a half. And now for about a decade, it's a morning show. And episodes are 3 or 4, sometimes longer hours than that. And it's all good. And it's all, well, it's not all good, God knows, but davesgoneby.com, as the Sondheim song goes, you decide what's good by watching and enjoying. Anyway, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time, here in the Daverhood, hoping that we will be at least having one person in our, I just want to send a text to make sure that we'll get at least one person playing our Today, Yesterday quiz for this Saturday, October 10th, 2020. It is our 7th.
Joe said, great interview, Tammy. Thanks, Dave, for helping her on. We're both grateful and appreciative.
Oh, well, thank you, Joe. That Joe being Joe Corcoran, a producer who's been on, I'm pretty sure was on this program a few years ago.
Read the list of guests, of attendees.
Yeah, I want to text Leslie Are you there? See, I should have minions doing this for me.
She gets stuck in the waiting room, remember?
Yeah, no, she sometimes has issues with
Wi-Fi.
getting, but I'll just remind her. I'll just drop her a little reminder. And as I said, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that we won't have David Sheward as our guest playing the Today Yesterday quiz because he did lose his father earlier in the week. But I'm hoping Leslie will be with us. That would be great. Anyway, so much to do on the rest of this episode of Dave's Gone By. We've got our Wretched Pun of Destiny, all about Ethel, Merman, and the Andrews sisters. Let me read the list real quick.
No, I want the noisemaker.
Oh, here, sorry. Welcome to Bill and Christopher, Kevin, Gregory, another Bill, Robert, James, Irene, Patriarch? Patrick, sorry. Kevin, John, David, Sandra, Cheryl, Jet. Ooh.
The forefathers they call them.
Yeah, Leslie and Paul, and I think on the back we have more. Leslie again, Miles, and Paul, David, Tim, Brian, Honey. Hello, Honey. Don, Mila, Rick, and Harlan. So thank you, everybody who's tuning in to this episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebook, podcast, program, of the stream on this Saturday morning. It is our 767th show. Wretched Pun of Destiny coming up. Colorado Limerick of the Damned coming up. We've got My Sick Mom. Why don't we get that one out of the way? We're on such a high. We are on such a
Can we do
an
Greeley
up.
Crimes and Old Times because I have to go
Oh,
soon, right?
I forgot about Greeley Crimes and Old Times. So shame on me. Yes, let's do that. I'll explain what it is after I play the intro music for Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Oh, it would help if I didn't pop down iTunes the last time. Let's do that again. Professional radio here. Yes, Greeley Crimes and Old Times on this Saturday. So here's the deal. There are two stories that appear weekly and sometimes strongly in the Greeley Tribune, a real newspaper that occasionally steps into weekly world news territory. There's nothing better than this, but it's an actual local paper up in Greeley, Colorado. So one writer there goes through the police reports, the calls that come in to the local police department, and picks out the weirdest, strangest ones of people calling in and saying that something's going on in the neighborhood and they want the police to check it out. Plus, there's another column in the Trib that's called Cop Log, and well, that one is Cop Log. Then there's 100 years ago of what was actually in the newspapers back in 1920. We mix both of them up, and we call the whole segment Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Are you ready for some crime, babe?
Yes.
Police, there they are, responded to a report
Wait.
of suspicious activity near 31st Avenue. A man,
Oh, sorry.
no, that's a strange man there. A man kept getting in and out of his vehicle and watching his phone. And this is a quote, the man, quote, went outside to smoke and got lost in YouTube land and Facebook.
Whoa.
Suspicious activity in Greeley.
land.
How would this person know that this guy on a telephone, that's what he's looking at? Well, how would they even, he's watching YouTube videos. How would they tell? Anyway.
YouTube land, I guess, is very,
I want to go to the YouTube land. Hey, a caller at apartments on 7th Avenue reported a man asleep on the ground in the dumpster area. Because that's always, you can't get into the Best Western. The caller said there was another man with him who looked, quote, like a gangster. Because gangsters, they're known to sleep near dumpsters. I don't know. This is 100 years ago. A recent story which stated that, quote, a traveler slept with a pig in the bed for warmth. did not mean that he slept actually with a pig. The quote came from a story in England where many refer to, do you know what a pig was back
It's
then?
a stove. The pig is your stove.
Not quite, no.
Hot pot?
Yes, a pig was a big old hot water bottle. It's kind of interesting.
I've slept with many pigs.
Yeah. Back then, slept with wasn't the issue. You ever notice that? Then people weren't disgusted by the intimation of what slept with means now. It's just that he was in bed with a pig sleeping was even weird to them. But no, a pig had a different connotation.
Farmers are very protective of their wild, what do you call it, livestock.
Hey, speaking of a lifestyle on a farm, in the Sligo area, a 15-year-old boy was badly injured when his horse threw him into a barbed wire fence. Check this out. This is from a story in the paper 100 years ago. The boy was cut on his stomach and legs, and he had to walk home a mile, leaving a trail of blood. Yeah. I would go, and that's when the bears noticed him. Just kidding. Oh my goodness, times were different back then. And I love this. This is again the wording from the papers in Greeley, Colorado, back in 1920. Nels Olaf Peterson, age 60. Okay. Well, not quite. Of Platteville, dropped dead Tuesday while he was cranking his auto to get it started. Do you think papers back then were a little less sensitive? It's like,
I guess, that's horrible. I guess it was a slow news day when somebody dies and that becomes...
But, they mentioned the guy's name. He dropped dead.
He did. He probably fell on the ground and died. That's
While he was
what did.
cranking his auto to get it started. He's going to be buried in the Platteville Cemetery with the Oddfellows Club officiating. So I guess he was a rather odd fellow himself. Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. Wow. This is important. This is huge. And this is the first time we've ever done this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Salamagundi alert. I will repeat that. A Salamagundi alert.
What is that? Salamagundi?
A Salamagundi party will be held this week at the Methodist Church. What does that even mean? This actually sounds kind of cool. It means that it's this party where every imaginable game will be played. Because Salamagundi is a kind of meat and vegetable stew. Isn't that neat?
It's weird. I don't get it.
Well, it's not yet. It's kind of, they named it Salamagundi because it's like they're going to throw everything at the wall, any kind of game smorgasbord available, and they call it kind of Salamagundi. Well, anyway. Wasn't there a children's poem about Solomon Gundy?
No, you're thinking of Salman Rushdie.
Oh, that could be it. And I usually do think of Simon Rushdie. Let's get back to crime as quickly as possible.
Oh, Lord, okay.
A caller,
Wait.
well, there's that caller, on 25th Street, reported getting a text from someone who claimed to be, quote, a top guy with MS-13. And when he got this text, it came with pictures of people's heads cut off.
Oh, nice.
But police determined it was a scam and recommended the caller block the number. I get scam phone calls still.
Gangs recruit, but I think that recruitment was the pretty, you'd have to know somebody to know somebody. I think
Yeah.
You just block a call, block the text. That's it.
But it's just sort of interesting, like the scam calls I get. There's some South Asian guy who's trying to sell me insurance.
Stuff for
Yeah.
Everybody, yeah.
Right. Or are your immigration papers in order sort of thing. I don't get images of people, thank goodness, of people's severed heads. That's a little more than spam to me. I don't know. Anyway, a woman on 11th Street, speaking of spam, I do want to mention this. This kind of freaked me out a little bit. Because we were in Hawaii where it was a delicacy.
Oh, they made
sort
like
of.
a spam sushi. A
Yeah.
lot of spam sushi, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know why? Because in Hawaii, it's an island. They didn't necessarily have access to fresh stuff, so spam stays forever.
But when I went to pick up food from the place that we usually eat,
Yeah.
For Chinese,
They had spam?
there were cans of, unopened. They just got a shipment in, And they use Spam in something there.
They probably make like Spam sushi or maybe.
I've never seen that on the menu. No, there's no place on. We know the menu.
Well, it's mostly like a vegetarian Spam. It's like a vegetarian healthy Pan-Asian place.
Right, yeah, except
Maybe
there's
for
Spam.
Sushi, maybe for sushi.
Spamushi, they maybe
Sushi,
make, yeah.
Spam sushi.
Or they're putting in with soup, because they would do that in Hawaii, but I've never seen them.
I've never seen that anywhere outside of Hawaii.
Yeah, like the spicy tuna
Maybe
with.
they just ordered
cornmeal.
it for themselves. It might have just been for them.
That's true. If
You
I were
should
eating,
call them up and ask them if they have your seafood enema.
if they have, they have my special. Oh, do I have time to tell that story? Yes, now I've got to. It's a totally different restaurant, but this is one of my favorite things ever. Back in the day, there was a local Chinese restaurant. And I think they're still around, quite honestly. I think they're in Valley Stream. But they're an Asian, not, you won't call them Asian Japanese, they're an Asian restaurant 15, 20 years ago when Joyce were living in basically the same neighborhood. And we were ordering in from a local Chinese place. And they had a delicious appetizer that I liked, which was a mix of like tuna and salmon chunks in kind of a rice vinegar thing. Yeah, it's sort of a sushi-esque pre-poke bowl. It really is poke bowl without all the other stuff in it, right? It was just the fish of the poke bowl, and it was yummy. I loved it. And they called it. This was their
seafood explosion.
No, it was seafood dynamite. This is what they called it on their menu. Seafood dynamite was the name of this dish, this appetizer.
That's how they wrote it. That's not what they called it.
Well, the thing, we have a thing. Leslie's trying to get on to the program. She's having some issues. But, so seafood dynamite, and I love this dish. And I loved it a lot, but I didn't love it
that. Was the only reason we used that restaurant, actually, right?
Well, yeah, but it was even more than that, that as much as I loved it, I ordered it even more often than I wanted it. Mainly because when I would ask the Asian woman who answered the phone if that could be part of the delivery, and I said, do you have the seafood dynamite? And the way she pronounced it, it sounded, and you heard her.
Seafood enema?
Seafood enema? And I said, yeah, could you repeat that? Because I didn't have those little baby tape recorders. I couldn't, but I was like, she said, yeah, seafood enema. Yeah, yes, I want that.
Because
and
who doesn't want a seafood enema?
that was the seafood enema diet that I was it's just the most beautiful thing. Not that seafood dynamite was bad enough, but if you're ordering a food called seafood enema, you know you're in for some fun with that meal. How did I bring this up? Oh, the Spam. How did I get to Spam?
Because they had Spam on at the Chinese food restaurant where you were looking the other day.
Yeah, but how did I get to there from the heads cut off, Salamagundi?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
You were just
None.
talking about it. I guess head make you think of food eating.
Well, this will make me think of eating. A woman on 11th Street Road asked to have raccoons removed from her backyard.
Wow.
Well, she admitted to feeding them.
Uh-oh.
And what did the cops tell her?
Then you have to call a wildlife specialist. You shouldn't feed them.
Yeah, they told, stop feeding them.
Yeah.
It's like, I got raccoons. I don't know why. I put down the bread. I think it's going to scare them away. Sometimes I throw popcorn at them.
That's what my mother used to say. Like, if we ever had animals that if you feed an animal, once you feed it, it's going to come back.
Yeah, you make a friend for life.
Yeah.
Bears included. Police responded to a bus stop on 10th Avenue.
Bus stop? How do you respond to a bus stop?
He's like, hey, bus stop, where a man was reported naked. However, when police arrived, the man had pants on, but he was difficult to understand and would not respond.
But how come so he had pants on? That's not naked.
Well, by the time the police got there, for all we know,
Sometimes it's hard to put your pants on.
and the president had a very rough week. He was feverish. He was.
At least maybe it was pants with the fly.
That could.
Maybe his fly was open.
Oh, I didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
About pants and.
One of my friends said that
Mhm.
the Biden-Harris they came out with the fly swatter.
Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah.
I'm texting Leslie here.
Is she okay? What happened?
she's sending me some sort of image, and I don't know.
Let me look. Here, I'll do it.
Yeah, if you could maybe make sure she's got the right link or something, which is good. This is giving us a chance to do.
Oh, no, she's sending you. You sent her the link to UNC's sign-in thing. You got to.
Oh.
Yeah, you send her the wrong link.
Oh no.
All I can say is going to send you the link.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll send her the Lancelot link, which has a secret chimp, by the way.
David will send you the right link. Sorry.
Oh dear. Now how do I get? I have to go in and oh dear. Oh no. Oh dear.
You send her the link to the school, baby.
Huh, how did I manage that?
You must have been drinking.
I was eating too much spam.
Too much spam.
And it affected my brain. Let me see. I hope I'm not sharing my screen here. No, just oh, I forgot I had that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, Lordy.
It's still you, honey. Do some singing. Sing something.
La 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 la. Oh, that's terrible. Now I've got it. I can copy paste it. I can copy it, but now I have to get her in my email.
She said okay.
Yeah. No, forgive me, folks.
Are you sending it an email or text?
Email, because to try and put this in a text, how do I even do that?
Please check your email.
In a moment. In a moment.
In a minute.
Yeah. This is incompetence at its lowest level, ladies and gentlemen. Loading Gmail. Come on, Gmail, load, will ya? Thank you. Okay. Compose that mail. Of course, now my computer's running slow.
You should just make a recurring meeting and give the same link.
I should do that, but then you run into the trouble of if someone has a link from a month ago and suddenly they show up. Okay. Link, and then please.
Is it sent? I'll say just sent.
Almost. I'm trying to. I need to get her up-to-date email. Oh, I apologize for this, folks, but it will be quick. Here we go. It's funny, I never sent it to her on this particular email server. Just talk amongst yourselves and think about Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway. It's sent. Since the mid-1970s, the Toron family has owned and operated Minuteman in the heart of Hewlett, Long Island. They do silk screening. They can put your logo on a uniform or a dress shirt or pen and pencil sets or calendars, anything that you need to make your business stand out and go forward. Hewlett Minuteman Press can help. Give them a call, 516-569-5577, area code 516-569-5577, and if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small. Hewlett Minuteman Press, they are the copy kings. All right, let me get back to my in here. So in a moment or two, I'm hoping Leslie will be able to get on. I apologize. The show is going so well, and it's still going well. Yeah, because I want to give one more Greeley crime and old time here. Dateline, one thing that we do on the show, on this segment, is sometimes we move a little bit away from Greeley, Colorado, and we go to another place, another town, another community. So this is from, well, Dateline AV Club. This is, if everybody remembers The Onion, they used to have a little section in there called the AV Club that goes on, that continues. And one of the cool things that they do in their paper is that we explore some of Wikipedia's oddities in our 6 Million Week series, Wiki Wormhole. And this week's entry is ferret legging. Have you heard of this, babe?
No.
It's a sport that has persisted for centuries. In fact, I'm going to let Leslie in so I can tell her about, maybe, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow Leslie has heard about ferret legging. We're going to ask her. Leslie Hoban Blake, she's trying to join. Is she in there? Oh, I wonder if David was trying to join too, and I sent him the wrong link. But Leslie, there, she was there. Now she's gone. Now she's back.
Magic show. It's me and David Blaine. It's a magic show.
Very, very sorry, Leslie, for sending you the wrong.
While I was on the University of whatever, I signed up for a full, I got 36 credits, so I'm good.
Did you really? That's excellent. You're going to matriculate, but not in public.
Where's the tomato? Oh, this is celebration for today is Simchat Torah, right?
Well, tomorrow night, tonight becomes Simchat Torah. Very good, Leslie.
I work with Charlie.
And Charlie Gross, of course, is the Jewish co-host of Critic Circle.
It's now called Critic Circle, yes.
Now
We finished our second one. We're very happy.
For 20-something years, it was called Two on the Aisle. It's going to take me a while to think, oh, no, it's now called.
It may go back to that, but we just found out that Broadway isn't going to open until May 2021. So you tell me when it's going to happen. Where's our other friend, David?
Leslie, you haven't heard.
No, what?
David Sheward lost his father a couple of days ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No, I did not know. Oh,
So
no, you
condolences
sent me a note. So
he wasn't sure if he would make this. This guy I was talking earlier in the week when he first told me, he's like, I'm not sure if I'm going to make the show. I'm like, when my father died. I'm like, you're not sure? You might still show up for my show? I'm like,
I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah. No,
how lucky for him to have his father for so long, though.
I know, right? I know.
That's nice.
So it was, But anyway, we send our condolences to David. So
Absolutely.
I don't know, but now I don't know if he didn't show up because he couldn't get in. I sent him the wrong link, or if he's crying and mourning. So, but either way.
He would have gotten in touch, I'm sure, the way I did it. It's not brain science, brain surgery, whatever.
But anyway, I wanted to ask you before we do it. So it's going to be just one-on-one. It won't really be a
Well, you can't answer. You wrote the questions.
I know. But have you heard of ferret legging?
Say that again.
Have you, Leslie Hoban Blake, have you heard of ferret legging?
No, it sounds like something horribly kinky that they do with poor little animals. No, I don't know.
Basically, apparently they wrote about this for the AV Club because they like to go through Wiki and find weird things that people actually do.
Is it some horrible thing they do to little ferrets?
It's a sport. It is a
That's
sport.
not a sport.
Yes, it's a sport, also known as put 'em down, or the overtly explanatory, quote, ferret down trousers game. Is an endurance test to see who can stand having a ferret down their pants for the longest time.
Oh, all right. But then do they hurt the ferrets? I don't care about the stupid guys who put them down their legs. That's their own fault. But I don't want to hurt the poor ferrets.
Wikipedia says that this sport became popular among Yorkshire coal miners in the 1970s. What else do they have to do down there?
I've been to Yorkshire. I can understand why they might do something like that. It's very boring up there.
Yeah, exactly.
If they don't have coal mining, they don't have anything.
Check that out. Apparently it's centuries old, this game.
Is this part of the quiz, or is this just...
this is where we're finishing up for the Crimes at Old Times.
Okay.
I wanted to tell about this. Apparently, it came from a time when only wealthy Britons could keep animals for hunting. So poachers looking at Leslie, my goodness.
No, I'm putting my light on. I forgot to put my light on.
Oh,
with all of that. I'm sorry. That's terrible.
Good Lord.
And now the horrible
much better skin tone now. Yes.
Right. The horrible growing woman. Okay.
But what happened was wealthy were the only ones who could keep hunting animals. So poachers on the lookout for rabbits had to keep their rabbit hunting ferrets hidden. So poachers would be out there with ferrets in their pants.
Oh, dear God.
I'll be wearing ferrets in my pants. And But apparently Paul Hogan mentioned the sport on the Johnny Carson show. And the best part, allegedly...
Paul Hogan, the Crocodile Dundee?
Crocodile Dundee dude.
Paul Hogan? Okay. All right.
Apparently ferrets don't mind the game because they like enclosed spaces. They kind of like being in the pant leg. And the Ferret Rescue League holds contests like this to raise money, and they say nobody's been bitten, just a little scratched up in their contests. So they say people do get bitten in the sport though, but they still play it. As a matter of fact, Frank Bartlett, a retired headmaster, and Christine Farnsworth, they broke the world ferret legging record in 2010. How long, Leslie, I'm going to throw this at you. How long do you think, this is not the quiz, do you think they managed?
Wait, this woman was dumb enough to put it on her pants too?
Apparently, yes.
Jesus Christ. Thought women had more sense. Okay.
How long,
I don't. know. An hour. I have no idea.
No, and by the way, she's had a beaver in her pants all her life. But no, the ferret was down there for 5.5 hours.
Oh, jeez.
Huh?
Well, it must have been doing something right. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. And that,
Okay.
my friends, is Greeley Crimes and Old Times.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you
Oh,
agree with me.
I love him.
Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
But we move on from Greeley
Is that
Crimes
from
and
Go
Old Times.
West?
Hmm?
Is that from Go West?
Yes, Go West.
That's
Very
from
well
Go
done.
West. Right.
Okay, you know what? Since there's no contest, I'm going to give Leslie a point just for that. There was Groucho Marx and the movie Go West.
My son and I are big Groucho Marx fans.
How's your son doing? What does your son do, by the way?
He right now he doesn't do anything. He fell down a flight of stairs on New Year's Eve and fractured everything, smashed everything, had an operation in February, and he's been recuperating. He now can raise his arm over his head, which is really nice. He had a 4-hour operation.
I keep asking Joyce to raise her legs over her head, but she won't do that. But I don't know what that means.
I'm not going to go there.
No,
I'm not going to go
No.
down the pants. I'm not going to do anything.
No,
Nothing.
We don't want to mention names, but someone we know fell down the stairs this week. And she is bruised, only bruised, did not break everything.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Chris tumbled like head over. It was the middle of the night and the dogs were restless and he came down to see it. And I think he tripped over a dog. I'm not even sure. He's done it. He's gone down those stairs 1,000 times and nothing ever happened. And then
And that 1 out of 10,000.
one night, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. So how long ago did it happen?
It happened in January. This is October.
And
But
he
it literally, they had to put it together. They put it together with, as I said, it was a 4-hour operation, and they put in some kind of not disposable. They melted away, whatever that word is.
Those bandages that
Not bandages. No. Pieces of bone into the shoulder bone that would then disintegrate. That's the word. That would then
That's the word, yeah.
disintegrate.
Yeah. Ooh.
So he's still in physical therapy. He's able to raise his arm over his head, but he can't lift anything with it. You know.
Jeez. But you can use the other arm?
Well, yes, but you know, it makes him basically a one-arm person at this point.
Right. Well,
He expects to have full range of everything. You know, hopefully by January of this coming year, which would make it. Listen, if he had to be recuperating, this was the best time.
This
to
is the
recuperate,
perfect
right?
time. You can't go
Perfect
anywhere.
time.
You can't go anywhere. So it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Well, our best.
You have to look on the bright side of these things, right?
Oh my God! Always look on the bright side of breaks.
He's safe. He's alive. That's, you know, what else can I ask for?
Yeah. No, honestly true. Wow.
You guys met at my party. You guys met at my party, right? You met my son at my party, right?
That's right. Well, that was more than a year ago, so he was still all in one piece, as it were.
Oh yeah, he was fine. He was lovely. He was, you know.
Mm.
Anyway,
Leslie Van Blake is in the Daverhood with us to play the yesterday quiz.
I'm playing against myself, basically, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Oh, okay. Is there anybody online I can play against?
Oh, maybe is Bill still there? Do you know? Or well, Joyce, unfortunately, she has to kind of she can't keep track much longer because. Yeah. No.
Well, I'm not going to get to do the whole test. There's not enough time, right?
Yeah, we're just gonna do it like a quiz.
We're gonna wipe today off as a disaster all the way around, and I will send a note to David Stewart because I had no idea.
And what is going to be fun in the next couple of weeks is a couple of our guests coming up in the Daverhood on the show will be taking part in the quiz.
Cool.
So it's going to have a comedian, I think, and also a I'm blanking. I have it here on my page, but
are your cousins coming back also when the holidays are over?
Well, I would expect we'll have some shoogs taking part as well. Oh, and a musician.
Are they closing down your DOE office? Are they? What's going on? Are you in anywhere near where they're going to close down the schools again?
No, kind of the opposite. We're keeping exactly things the way they are. Our district is clean. You know, we haven't had one case since about 2 months ago when one of
You're all the way out on Long Island, though, right?
Well, not all the way out. We're pretty close to the Queens border, actually.
Okay, no, but that's for me. That's like, you know,
Yeah,
That could-
you're in New York City. I'm sorry. You're in the hub of the universe.
I'm in the place
I'm in Antarctica.
I'm in the place where nothing happens. I'm in the place where there is nothing going on and nothing happens. Actually, Bernadette Peters and a whole bunch of other actors sang on the steps of the Duffy Square where the TKTS booth is.
Yeah. Oh,
That link, you didn't get the link?
I heard about it. Did
But
you
it's a
go see it?
pop-up. It's a pop-up. They're not giving you advance notice of when they're going to be there.
Well,
So,
because they don't want 1,000 people without masks
of
coming
course.
to the TKTS steps, but good for her. Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. They did a song from, like, was it Sunday in the Park or?
Yes, so Sunday in the Park.
Anyway, well, it is Saturday in the Stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, and Leslie Hoban Blake. On Dave's Gone By, it is our 767th episode of the program. We're calling it PES Dispenser in honor of our wonderful guest, Tammy Pescatelli, who was on earlier in the show. But now it's time to play the today, yesterday, quizzy sort of a game. And this is where we...
It's a timey-wimey sort of a game.
So what kind? I didn't hear.
Timey-wimey. Oh, you don't know the reference?
I didn't hear it.
Timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey?
Timey-wimey. Timey. WHIMEY. Timey-wimey.
Oh, I've never.
It's from Doctor Who.
Oh, I used to watch Dr. Wynn. It was not as popular, but I preferred it. I never did see
Is that the American version?
Basically, yes. All right, here we go. Leslie Hoban Blake, we have questions for you. All
Okay.
about things that happened on October 10th in history, because today is October 10th, 2020. These are things in history. Oh, by the way, do you choose to go first?
No, I think I'll go second. It's okay.
Oh, all right. Oh, yeah, go figure. We get to
Yeah, David always gets to go first. I get to go first today against
you.
myself. Yes, okay.
The year is 1889. Today in New York, your beloved New York, this institution is founded specifically because Columbia University refuses to accept women.
I know.
Name the alternative. Give it a moment. So I'll read each question twice so that people watching at home have a moment to cogitate and come up with an answer of their own. But the question is 1889, today in New York. This institution is founded specifically because Columbia University refuses to accept women. Name the alternative. Leslie Hoban Blake. Oh, I'll use my broken wand here.
You still haven't gotten another one? You're still using the
Yes, I'm a man. I still use the same skinny little wand I've had from the beginning.
Okay.
And the answer is...
First of all, how dare they have done that? The men at Columbia, how dare they have done that? And women were allowed to take courses, but they were not allowed to matriculate, which is why this happened. So that's
my
another
reason. And
It was Barnard College. It's Barnard College. And I wanted to go to Barnard, but I was such a stupid young girl. I was only 16 when I was ready for college. And they gave you an application form, and they put down, why do you want to attend? They literally said, why do you want to attend Barnard? And I said, because I like Columbia men. I literally wrote that down. So I went to NYU.
Back in the day,
So
that
I
would
went
have
to
gotten you
NYU.
in. Right?
What?
Back in the day, wouldn't that have gotten you in? 'Cause we
Not
now wanted
really,
that,
no.
like
No,
the Ruth
it's
Bader
not-
Ginsburg.
It's just too smart ass for them, you know. It just was not their kind of thing.
Why? So do you regret that? Do you kind of wish now that you went to?
No, I'm glad I didn't go to a women's college. I went to a girls' high school,
Mm.
and it was great because it was those awkward years between 13 and 12 really, 12 and 16. Those very awkward years. I went in, I was 5'4" and I weighed 154 pounds, and I came out and I was 5'7" and I weighed 135 pounds. And those years were very formative. I was a much happier and much better adjusted person as a result. Literally, I would have been miserable in a school with boys. I would have not been happy because girls have the same hormones that boys do. And you know, I would have been thinking boys, boys, boys all the time. And this way I worked, I learned, I ran for office, I did all the things, you know, I wrote for the magazine, I blossomed in high school. I know everybody hates high school. I loved high school. I cried when we went to graduation. I cried. I was afraid to go out in the world at that point.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I asked. Yeah, the great part of having
Kind of my life story, but you know, there
yeah,
you
no,
go.
but great. Almost every question that Leslie gets, there's like some story
I know,
for life connected to it. You should be doing Dave's Big Dictionary. That should be your segment.
No. Go ahead.
Now the same, well, no, 10 years later, excuse me, 10 years later for your next question, 1899, Isaac R. Johnson, an African-American inventor, took out a patent today on what invention?
Oh, I'm sorry, Bill was playing.
Oh, Bill, you know what? You're going to be playing against Bill Bradford.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Bill Bradford. I'm sorry.
Well, but you did get it right.
Gotten it right too. It's not a
Bill,
different.
give us a chance to type.
I'm sorry, yeah, Bill needs a chance to tell. So, Bill, we're acknowledging you. We're going to leave a little more time to answer the questions.
Did he get the first one right?
Well, I bet he did. Did he write down Barnard?
Yeah, he did.
He did. He got it. So it's 2. Let's do 2-2. You're playing against.
Well, why don't you? No, okay, but then you have to tell me that it's my turn or him. It's his turn, because otherwise we can't just be playing.
All right. Well, we'll try this for but Joyce can only stay for a little bit to do this. So we're gonna be
Well, that's my fault. I'm sorry.
So 1899. So this question goes to Bill. Then is that the way you want to play it?
Right. I wouldn't have gone into that whole thing. I thought we had time. I'm sorry.
No, please. 1899. Isaac. This is for Bill. Bill Bradford playing at home. Isaac R. Johnson, an African-American inventor, took out a patent today on what invention that we still use, and it's a multiple choice. Was it an electric?
You read slower, David.
Oh, was it an electric can opener, a folding bicycle frame, a suitcase with wheels, or the scaffold to clean windows in high rises? I'll read those choices again. Isaac R. Johnson, black inventor, today took out a patent on what invention that is still in use today. Was it A, the electric can opener, B, a folding bicycle frame, C, a suitcase with wheels, or D, the scaffold that window cleaners use in high rises? So I'll give it a moment and give it a thing for Bill to think. So Bill,
I don't know Bill Bradford. I don't know Bill Bradford, do I?
I'm wondering. You may have run across him in the theater. We have an
Bill
answer.
said scaffold, but just guessing.
Bill says scaffold, but just guessing. Did he guess correctly? Look, everything's breaking on my touchy thing here. And I'm sorry, Bill, but you guessed incorrectly. Leslie has the chance to steal. Is A, B,
That would have been my first guess. Now I have to go back. Suitcase with wheels, electric can opener. What was the other one?
Is a folding bicycle frame.
I would say folding bicycle. I have no idea.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Oh, Leslie, you got it right. Boom, 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 boom. It was the folding.
It was a guess, Bill. I'm trying to figure out when there was electricity and when there were, when I first saw suitcases with wheels. So that's,
Yeah, you would figure that would have been invented earlier back. By the way, just a little bit of wiki trivia for Bill, who thought it was the window cleaners. Back in 1932, 1 out of every 200 window cleaners died on the job. Yeah, you can imagine it.
Well, it's about the same percentage now.
I wouldn't be
Things
surprised.
keep breaking and falling, I mean, percentage-wise, how many there are. Go ahead.
Next question is for Leslie Hoban Blake. We go to 1923. The New York Giants and the Yankees squared off at Yankee Stadium today, making history because this was the first and so far the last time in history that what happened. It's a multiple choice. Okay. Was it each team's first inning had a grand slam home run? In the third inning, the Giants had an extra player in the outfield and no one noticed until the inning was over? It was the third consecutive time the Giants and Yankees faced off in the World Series, or Babe Ruth pitched for half an inning? I'll read the choices again. And this question is for Leslie. Bill, you're welcome to answer it too.
This is so not my place. This is your shoe.
The shoe people would get this.
Should have been
The
here.
year was 1923. Giants and Yankees at Yankee Stadium today, making history because it was the first and so far last time in history that what happened? A, each team's first inning had a grand slam home run. B, in the third inning, the Giants had an extra player in the outfield and no one noticed until the inning was over. C, it was the third consecutive time the Giants and Yankees faced off in the World Series. Or D, Babe Ruth was playing and pitching for half an inning.
I'm going to say the extra man out in the outfield because the other things wouldn't happen anyway again in 2020. Obviously, that would never have happened again. I don't know about the grand slam in the first. I'll go with the extra man in the outfield.
Leslie Hoban Blake says extra man in the
We
outfield.
got one from Bill.
Okay, what is Bill's answer? Because Leslie, I'm afraid that was not right for you.
Bill said Babe Ruth pitched.
And the answer is no. It was the fact that for the first and only time,
At grand
the
slam.
teams played each other in 3 consecutive World Series.
Did you say that?
What? Sorry. Yeah,
I didn't hear that. Isn't that funny?
it was
I
the
heard
third
that
consecutive
the
time
first
the Giants
and
and
last time
Yankees.
they played each other. I didn't hear 3 consecutive World Series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
And in
wouldn't
fact,
have.
that was
I wouldn't have known. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't have known.
just
obvious.
some trivia here. First, it was the first ever World Series at Yankee Stadium. The Giants won Game 1 when Casey Stengel hit an inside the park home run, and the Yankees would win the series.
Casey Stengel was playing.
Yeah,
He was
1920.
a player before he was a manager.
Oh yeah, oh
I
yeah,
never knew that.
and he rocked that series. He was really good apparently. back
Oh,
in
how
the day.
I never knew that he was a player. Isn't that funny?
Before Alzheimer's made him lovable. Yeah, that's just kidding. Anyway, we have no points on that particular question. We have some more questions, though, for both Leslie Hoban Blake playing in front of us and Bill Bradford playing.
When
Yeah.
I go, you just have to look in there and you
I have to refresh the screen. All right,
Put it on the wood.
I can put it on the wood. That's what she said. Here we go. Now, this question is for Bill, but Leslie, you can think in case you want to steal. The year is 1935. John W. Bubbles of the vaudeville team Buck and
Buck
Buck.
and Bubbles. Yeah.
Oh my! I've seen Leslie right. Has a featured role in this operatic new Broadway show opening tonight at the Alvin Theater. For 1 point, name the show, and for the second point, name his character. Okay. I'll read the question. Leslie's got that smile. But this is for Bill. 1935 is the year. John W. Bubbles of Buck and Bubbles has a featured role. It's just a good thing his partner was named Fubbles. Buck and Bubbles has a featured role in this operatic new Broadway show opening tonight at the Alvin Theater. For 1 point, name the show. And for the second point, name his character. Okay, so take a moment. He's typing, I'm sure. And we'll hold off on that until we get an answer from Bill. And then Leslie.
I just wanted to say the reason I know Buck and Bubbles is my grandfather was involved in it.
That's right.
We got an answer.
We have an answer. We have an answer from Bill. What's the answer from
He
Bill?
meant to say something different than he said. So
Yeah.
he said Piggy and Bess Sport.
I love spell check.
Well,
Don't love spell check.
the answer is correct, Bill. Bill, you got 2 points on that. Well done.
No, wait. It was a 1 point for the show and 1 point for what character?
See, he said, she said, Porgy and Bess, Sport and Life.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't hear
Yeah, you
the
said that.
second one. Sorry, Bill.
Well done, Bill.
Bill, you're telling Bill's creeping up on Leslie's undefeated championship.
Yeah, that's right. Leslie 4, Bill 2. So, Leslie, the next question, I believe, goes to you.
Mm-hmm.
1950. What was? And by the way, did your dad actually know Buck and Bubbles?
My grandfather was a clog dancer who became a tap dancer. So he knew every tap dancer at some point.
Wow. Well, because apparently Bubbles was really, really good.
Everybody stole from each other, but mostly they stole from the black tap dancers who were the best. My grandfather was the white tap dancers usually started out like my grandfather as clog dancers, doing
Really?
Irish clog dancing, right? And then the black dancers came in with this really smooth tap dancing, and so the white dancers began to assimilate, not assimilate, but what's the word, to take from,
to incorporate and to
incorporate, okay,
yeah.
incorporate
That's a
the
nice
smoother
word.
moves into their.
Yeah.
into their dances. So, yeah. That's
And what's interesting is that most of the other black dancers, they danced to classical music and they danced to jazz, but Bubbles danced to pop. Okay, Bubbles pop. Comedy.
I got it.
Exactly. Okay. All right, so we have Leslie 4, Bill 2. The next question goes to you, Leslie. 1956 is the year. Based on a novel by Edna Ferber, this movie, a progressive Western directed by George Stevens, premieres in New York tonight. It would earn the star his second and final Oscar nomination. Name him and the movie, 1 point each. Give it a moment. I'm going to read the question again.
Okay. No,
Don't say it.
So,
1956 is the year. Based on a novel by Edna Ferber, this movie, a progressive Western directed by George Stevens, premieres in New York tonight. It would earn the star his second and final Oscar nomination. Name that star and the movie the star was in. Give it a moment. I also want to reload here to see if, because Bill can answer these, but he, if you get the question right, reload the site. Yes, I'm going to reload the site. Hold on a moment. I think I can do this. If I can't, then I can't. Let's try it. Click here. Give me a mo. Actually I did. It did reload. And I saw a correct answer there. So, but this goes to you, Leslie. What is the answer?
Well, it's interesting. When you said progressive Western, I thought it was like it started in one year and went somewhere else, but that's not what you meant.
No.
It was giant. It was Liz Taylor, Rock Hudson, and the award went to the award went to James Dean. It was a posthumous award, I believe, because he was already dead by then.
Yeah. I don't know. Did he win the award? I think he was just nominated, but he did.
Okay, well.
But by the way, you got both points there for Leslie. It wasn't that
He died in 1955. That's that infamous September 1955,
Yeah. So well done, Leslie. You have 6 points now. You are rocking it. But, Bill got the question right, too. So he's creeping up on you.
Yes, Phyllis, tell him that he's a worthy opponent.
You are a worthy opponent, Bill. I physically can't see Bill, but I know Bill, and I'm picturing Bill in my brain.
Can he hear me when I'm talking? Can he hear me when I'm talking?
Well, yeah, he's watching on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Hi,
Okay.
Bill. Worthy opponent. That's all. I just wanted to say.
And Bill is a very worthy stage manager, by the way. So if you're ever doing theater, if anybody's ever doing theater,
Anybody's ever, yes.
He was a stage manager for Rabbi Sol's Shalom Damage. I believe he also did my show. I don't think did I need a stage manager for Miracle of Long John's? I'm not sure if I did. But anyway, actually I should have had one, even though I didn't. But here's the next question. It is for Bill. Playing at home, but you can have it in your brain head. The year 1961. Following his almost immediate success as a stand-up comedian, Bob Newhart landed his own variety show on NBC. The Bob Newhart Show, no relation to. Meanwhile, he continued to release comedy albums. Most of them had titles that were variations on the title of his first album. Name that title, which features a compound adjective describing his psyche. Ooh. Long question. I will read it again.
You get 2 points for that question, Dave.
I know. Well, I was loading a lot of stuff there. I'll tighten it now. 1961 was the year. Following his almost immediate success as a stand-up, Bob Newhart got his own variety show on NBC debuting tonight. But he was still releasing comedy albums. Most of his albums had titles that were variations on the title of his first album. Name that title, which features a compound adjective describing his psyche. Okay, so I'm going to give Bill another moment or two, and then I'm going to reload. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to hit reload. And then we're going to see if it came. Oh, nothing yet. Uh-oh. Bill, I'm going to need an answer from you to see if you, it's kind of hard to see. Let's see if I scroll down. Bill, I should have like an hourglass or something like that. All right, I'm going to reload one more time, Bill. One more time. And give you the shot to answer this question about Bob Newhart, great comedian who is, by the way, still alive. Oh, no, we're not seeing him much anymore.
Out of work since Big Bang Theory went off.
I know, yeah. Well, I mean, this is bad for Bill, but could be potentially good for Leslie. He says he has no idea. He's not going to take a guess. Leslie, like, do you want to steal?
I have no idea. I remember the albums. I'm sure we had them. I don't remember.
Well, either you have a shot at taking a guess.
Well, I can't. I mean, it's this inside my something mind, but I can't come up with.
You.
But I don't know what the compound word is that describes it.
Oh, well, nobody gets points on this, but I'll give you a hint.
Oh, Button Down Mind?
Button Down Mind of Bob Newhart. And his other albums included Behind the Button Down Mind.
1 point. I got a clue, so you can give me 1 point.
Yeah, I can give you 1 point on that. Yeah. Also, had the Button Down Mind Strikes Back, like 6 of his albums.
I forgot about the button down until you did that. I remember now that was his thing, but I didn't remember that.
Well, sorry, but Bill gets no point. That doesn't, you lost the opportunity to steal, but it wasn't your question. So
how quickly did we forget? What is that, 40, 50 years ago?
Well, yeah. Well, I used to have the albums. They were before my, it was probably 1960 through 70.
Well, I was certainly there in 1960. I just don't remember.
Anyway, we move now to a question for Leslie Hoban Blake in our Today Yesterday quiz. The year is 1963. Year before I was born, 1963. Sean Connery, Robert Shaw, Daniela Bianchi, and Lottie Lenya co-star in the second James Bond film, From Russia with Love. That wasn't the question. Which doesn't take place in Russia. Where does most of the action take place? And it's a multiple.
You bastard.
You didn't think I was just going to give you From Russia with Love. Oh, no. Where does
Lenya's character, Elsa Klebb, I know that.
You know that. You know the Klebster, but do you know where, not all the movie, but
well,
most
I have
of
to
the
think. I have to think.
Well, but it's a multiple choice. I'm being fair that way.
Even better. Go ahead.
Was it in A, Istanbul, B, Berlin, C, Budapest, or D, Lisbon? So think about it, and I will read the question again. On this date, October 10th, 1963, Sean Connery, Robert Shaw, Daniela Bianchi, and Lottie Lenya co-star in From Russia with Love, which does not actually take place in Russia. Where does most of the action take place? Now, before you say the answer, let me just reload.
No, I have a question. I have a question about the question.
Uh-oh. I won't answer it because I don't know, but go ahead.
Well, because it could be different from, when you say where does it take place, you mean physically where was it shot, or where does the story take place?
Certainly the story, possibly where it was shot.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's about what happens in the film, not did they film it on a backlot.
Right.
So, we have an answer from Bill, but this is your question, Leslie.
I'm going to say it's between the two B's. So I have to go tick-tock, tick-tock. I'm going to go, because I don't remember, to be honest with you. I remember Elsa Klebb. I'm going to say, the obvious answer would be Berlin, so I'm going to say Budapest.
Is that your final answer, Leslie Blake?
Whenever you do that, I think I'm wrong.
It's a wait gimmick, but yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Budapest, Hungary. Good guess.
Wrong.
Wrong guess. And Bill, he made his guess. He said it was the other B, Berlin.
And he was right.
No, he's also wrong. It actually took place, the main action of the film took place in Istanbul.
Okay, good. I'm glad we both got it wrong.
Or
By the
Constantinople.
we just interviewed Alex Rowe, who knows Peter Sagal. They did a play together in San Francisco. How's that for minutia, huh?
Yeah, kind of. But who's Peter Sagal?
Wait,
From Wait, Don't Tell Me. I thought we were talking about.
You said that's a wait gimmick, so I thought that's what you meant.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Got it. All right. Next question goes to
We're doing great here, Bill. We're doing really great, the two of us.
6-2, and we have more questions. It's not over yet. Bill can still catch up. Bill can still.
Oh no, he's gonna. See, Bill, he had to bring it in. There it is. I missed it.
Next question in our yesterday quiz is, the year, Bill, is 1973. After pleading no contest to allegations of tax fraud, this American politician resigned today, and 6 months later he was disbarred. Can you name him? That's the question right there. So I'm gonna give you a little chance to type it in, to think about it. And Leslie, you can think about it too, but this question is for Bill. 1973, after pleading no contest to allegations of tax fraud, this American politician resigned today, and then 6 months later, he was disbarred. Can you name him? Let me give it a little moment to try. I'm going to reload my screen now.
You either have to get that thing fixed or drop it.
Oh.
I know, but I'm sorry. There are times when you have to just,
I dropped it, and that's how it broke.
Yeah, right.
And the I think I just saw the answer and then it went away. And Bill's answer is, he gives the last name. It's like Jeopardy. So I assume he's referring to John Mitchell, and the answer is not correct.
Oh.
Leslie, you have a chance to steal.
Yeah, I know both names, first and second.
What are they're unusual names.
I might know the middle initial. Was it Spyro T. Agnew? Was it T in the middle?
I think, yeah, Spiro T. Yeah,
I hated that man. Listen, I was very active at that time. And unfortunately, because he resigned, we wound up with Gerald Ford as a president for 4 fucking years, or 3 fucking years.
I know.
Sorry,
Right?
I just cursed on your station. I hope that doesn't go.
Oh, I do it all the time. But was Ford in office for 4 years? Did he get?
No, I realized he wasn't. I started to amend that. I don't remember how many years he was in office.
Yeah, and by the way,
we started to go to Washington to dance in the streets when Nixon resigned later that summer.
Yeah.
And we got waylaid by Pennsylvania. We got waylaid by Philadelphia. We stayed in Philadelphia and danced in the streets of Philadelphia. But in honor of the, what a time that was. I keep waiting for this guy to do something like that, but it ain't never gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. You nattering nabob of negativity. You.
True. I was on Nixon's list. I wore a button that said I'm on Nixon's list.
I was wrong. How did you know you were on? Yeah.
No, of course. Well, I would assume, because in those days, we looked under the bed because we thought J. Edgar Hoover was under there. So,
Actually, you were probably, if it were today's thing, you wouldn't be on Donald Trump's list. You'd be on his little black book, essentially. That's more of what he had.
Hardly.
All right, listen, we're still here. We're doing because I want to let everybody know it's noon Eastern time here.
Are we tied now?
No, you're kind of running away with it, Leslie. It's 8.
I thought we were tied. Okay.
No, it's 8-2. Leslie Hoban Blake in our yesterday.
Really?
What?
I wasn't paying attention. I thought I missed.
Yeah, you got Giant. You got you didn't get the.
No, I don't need a recap. I just thought I just thought that we were closer than that. That's all.
So here we go. But I want to remind everybody you're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, and we're here every Saturday from 9 until noon or thereabouts, right here on this Facebook page. We're here with Leslie Hoban Blake in front of us and Bill Bradford playing at home our yesterday quiz game. So the next question goes to, I think it goes directly to you, Leslie, because you just stole from Bill. 1977 is the year. They started a few years earlier as a jazz fusion band, partly made up of ex-members of Santana. But real success came only when this lead singer joined the group on this date, leading to their first platinum album, Infinity, and the hit single Wheel in the Sky. For 1 point, name the
Wait,
group.
go back and read those names. I was going down the wrong road completely.
Oh, there, I've done that. Let me finish the question. For 1 point, you're going to name the group, and for another, the lead singer. So, 1977. They started a few years earlier as a jazz fusion band, partly made up of ex-members of Santana. But real success came only when this lead singer joined the group today, 1977, leading to their first platinum album and hit single, Wheel in the Sky. For 1 point, name the group. For another, the singer, don't say it, even if you have an idea. I keep losing the video on this.
I had a totally different. I was fine until you got to the name of the show, the thing, and then I was wrong.
Let's see. I'm hoping Bill can still tune in because we're
And this is not multiple choice. This is you know it or you don't, right? I don't know it.
right. Bill has an answer, but this is Leslie's question.
And Leslie is handing it over to Bill because I don't know. Over to
You're
you,
not, gonna,
Bill.
you're not going to take a guess. You're not going to say
Make another guess.
Shlomo Karbach and the Dreamweavers. Not going to go there.
Yes,
Nope.
that guy. That was the one.
Al
Yes.
Jolson and the Joliettes.
I was going for Gloria Estefan and you know, and that when you said Fusion and Santana, I was
Yeah.
going down that road. So I totally lost. Go ahead.
Well, Leslie did not get that one. And Bill, who guessed, he would get 1 point for Chicago, the band
Oh.
Chicago. Good guess, but he's not getting any points for that because it wasn't Chicago. The
Oh.
answer, and this surprised me, I had no idea, I didn't realize this, but did you know that the band Journey came out of a kind of a fusion-y thing? So for
Okay.
no points, Leslie, who's the lead singer or was the lead singer of Journey?
No
during
idea.
their heyday?
I know who it is, but I can't come up with a name.
A fellow named Steve Perry.
I didn't know who it was.
Ah, all right. So anyway, there you go. So much for pop culture. That's a big old goose egg. Yeah. All right. We have a couple more questions to go here in the neighborhood.
I thought we'd done about 112 questions by now.
All right. We've only been doing this for like half an hour. Here we go. This one is for Bill, though. This one goes first to Bill, but Leslie, you can think about it. The year 1979. Now, speaking of music, Fleetwood Mac got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame today. Which of these is not the title of a Fleetwood Mac album? And this is a multiple choice. The Visitor, Then Play On, Say You Will, Future Games. Obviously, I'm not going to include the eponymous Fleetwood Mac album or Rumors on there. So which of these is not, Bill, a Fleetwood Mac album? Was it A, The Visitor, B, Then Play On, C, Say You Will, or D, Future Games? So I'm going to give you a moment or two or three while I play this terribly broken xylophone.
So sad. If I could find one, I'd buy it for you, but I don't even know where you can get that. With what's open where I go, there's nothing like that, you know?
It's sort of appropriate for the show if you think about it. Let me put that, and I'm going to reload our the video here so I can see if he has answered. So Bill, I'm going to check in with you and see if you have. Oh, Bill has an answer. Oh my goodness. Bill Bradford came up with which of these is not the title of a Fleetwood Mac album? And Bill has chosen Future Games. Bill, no. So Leslie, you get a chance to steal. Was the non-Fleetwood Mac album The Visitor, Then Play On, or Say You Will?
I'm going to guess The Visitor.
Final answer?
Yeah, I don't have another guess.
Leslie, you're running away with it. That's 2 points for you. It was, in fact, The Visitor. Because, Fleetwood Mac had all these albums with Peter Green before they were well-known, and nobody even remembers them. And Say You Will was their last album. It was their most recent. So, yes, well done, The Visitor. Which, by the way...
Fleetwood Mac fan. I went with a guy who looked like Mick Fleetwood, believe it or not. A little more hair, but other than that, yeah, the long hair, the whole, yeah, the schmear.
And this was actually trickier than I even needed to make it because The Visitor was a 1981 Mick Fleetwood solo album. So that was really sneaky. That was evil of me. So all right, we've got not a particularly close game, but we can still ask one more question. Leslie, tries to compound her lead. Are you ready, Leslie, for
Sure.
last question of the game? But Bill, you can try and answer too. 1917 was the year, because this is our tiebreaker.
We're going backwards. Okay.
Well, we do 10 questions sequentially, and then the tiebreaker is went from whenever.
Okay.
Born
This is the
today.
tiebreaker. Okay.
Well, we'll get in. Born today in North Carolina, this eccentric musician gave the world such standards as Round Midnight and Straight No Chaser. Name the musician. Give it a moment. Leslie's got the eyebrows going. She sort of knows. I wonder if Bill knows this one too. I'm going to read the question again. Born today, October 10th, 1917, in North Carolina, this eccentric musician gave the world such standards as Round Midnight and Straight No Chaser. Can you name him, or can you chase her? Haha. I'm going to just load this up to see if Bill has an answer yet, even though it is Leslie's question. We have an answer from Bill. So Leslie, can you tell us whom we are looking for?
Thelonious Monk, and there was a play. The New Yorker did a play, a one-man show.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who ran it, I can't think of his name, but he played Thelonious Monk. I mean, it's.
And what was it? No, because there was a documentary also about.
Yeah, but I mean, this was a live action in the New Yorker down on whatever in the Lower East Side. You know.
And the name of the documentary was Straight No Chaser. So yes, you are absolutely correct, Leslie Hoban Blake. It was Thelonious Sphere Monk was the answer to that question. Leslie Hoban Blake, you have 12 points.
That's not possible, is it? Because I took the guy question too. Okay.
Yeah.
Bill, I'm sorry. I don't know you, so I'm sorry.
Well, you should know Bill. He's a really if you were still doing shows at like La Mama Theater for the New City, you would be seeing Bill all the time.
Maybe we met each other at La Mama at some point. Bill, how far back do you go?
This is going to be I don't know if we can have a conversation like this because I can't.
All right, here, just tell him that I used to run at 62 East 4th Street, which is just up the street from La Mama. I ran that theater for 2 years as the AD.
Wow.
Well, New York Theater on TE.
New York Theater TE. Well, now Leslie is suddenly. Yeah. No, Leslie.
Across the street from New York Theater Workshop, which used to be the truck and warehouse. Yeah. So was he in 1983, 84, I ran that theater company. Was he down there at La Mama in 93?
You would remember me. I'm reloading the page constantly. Also, you're starting to break up, Leslie, so we might have to end this a moment sooner than I need to, but, here it says, it is possible, says Bill. Oh, I keep losing come on. He says, no reason to feel bad. He goes back to 1986. He knows the Dup. Oh, Dup? Maybe.
No, I was before him. The duo, that was the duo.
Oh, duo.
The duo was New York Theater Ensemble, and I ran it before it became the duo. It was destroyed by a punk band that we booked.
Uh-oh. Leslie, you froze.
Living okay, you know bye.
Yeah. No, it's gotta say bye to it was a typo. Bill says it was duo, not Dup. Well, no,
right.
Dup theater kind of work. Anyway, I am doubly happy that we have two great contestants in the Daverhood. Yes, Leslie happened to win the contest, but there's no prizes. We're just surprised to have you.
Sure Bill comes back for a rematch next week. Okay.
Yeah, Bill, I want to invite you. I think we did this and said if you ever want to come on and play the game and Zoom with us, please do. You know, I would love to have you.
What are those things behind you, David? On the wall? What are those for the holiday?
Well, Joyce put up the letters DGB for Dave's Gone By, and then we took some Jewish letters because Rabbi Saul was on the show before.
Oh, okay, because it's backwards what I'm looking at it.
Oh yeah,
so
I
I can
put them
see that
upside
it's
down. They're just a design or a decoration.
Okay, no. And so I thought because it was a holiday that this was in honor of the holiday. So there you
Kinda.
go.
We
That's
also
good
need
to have
something visual. Notice there's a Talmud right here.
Why did you take down the ketchup?
Well, the ketchup is, I mean, it was a very special thing. We still have it.
Oh,
I like to differentiate so that when I see the shows in the archive, every
No,
show
you
is
haven't.
different from the last one before it.
has a different background. I got you. Okay, I try to keep it the same. I parked my bike here, and this is it. This is where I
Yeah,
broadcast.
but no, you have a great backdrop. But you know, you might change the hat to a different color. You know, just to, if you were
I'm
doing a
leaving
show every
everything
week.
where it is. It works. I'm leaving everything where it is. I'm not going to
Yeah.
move
Well,
it.
anyway,
Okay, Dave, have a great week, dear. I've got to get in touch with David Sheward.
yeah. And I
Bye.
hope he'll be back in the Daverhood with us next week. And next week we will be I'll let you know, barring any unfortunate eventualities, whether I'm hoping David will be with us or a shoot might be with us, but we should have comedian Kevin James Doyle. Will be sticking around after talking with Rabbi Saul Solomon to play the quiz. We'll probably get started about 10:45 on the quiz next week. Would love to have you, Leslie.
I was stunned that you interviewed
Charles Meade.
Chucky as the rabbi. I didn't realize you did that. I thought you were going to do that as David.
The rabbi was in the next room. He wanted to talk to Chuck me, and I said,
I understand.
Yeah.
It was just
Leslie,
interesting.
stay
It was
healthy.
an interesting juxtaposition. I watched the interview.
Oh, good. Did you enjoy?
I did.
Oh, good.
Did you enjoy it?
Well, I was watching it, and you know, I had to leave the house while the rabbi was doing it because.
I'm glad you got into that whole thing about his putting up his work for nothing, because he's the only person I know of who's ever done that. And his rationale was, it's there
Oh, you froze again, Les. Can't.
anyway, so people should.
I'm saying we
I'm gonna go. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm gonna let myself out. Sit there. Bye.
So long, Leslie. Thank you, Bill, for playing along in the game. I'm going to move this computer out of the way so maybe things will stop freezing on the internet. That would be good. I would appreciate that. But there's a little bit more of show for all of us here in the Daverhood on this Saturday afternoon. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Dave Lefkowitz here with you doing Dave's Gone By. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed everything that you've seen so far. If you've been with us since 9 o'clock, we've done Greeley Crimes at All Times. We had our guest in the Daverhood, the really wonderful Tammy Pescatelli. We just played our Today Yesterday quiz with Leslie Hoban Blake going against our home viewer, Bill Bradford. I mean, just marvelous stuff. And there's still a bit more to do. Now, Leslie is a theater critic, and then Bill is actually a theater stage manager. So we love theater. We talk about theater. I always say, a playwright, actor, not really a director, but I've directed. I've been a playwriting teacher, and certainly a theater journalist. So I love and care about the theater, and I love to talk about it and share it with you, which is what we do, or were doing every week until we stopped doing them because there wasn't that much to say about Broadway. And yet this week, we're bringing back the segment that I do love called Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Well, yeah, there is Broadway news. Most of it, alas, isn't good. And for a while I thought, you know what, maybe I'm going to stop doing this segment altogether because it's going to be a very long time. But I don't know, there's still that little nugget, that kernel inside me that still wants to think about Broadway and talk about the theater, even though we found out some more understandable bad news this week, that all Broadway shows we know were suspended as of March 12th of this year, like 7-8 months ago. And now they were supposed to start reopening and start having people backstage and designers and the crew and the costumers and the actors rehearsing again, all to get things ready, starting in early January, so that shows could go back up in March and April. That is not going to happen. It was sort of an open secret in the Broadway community that just because there's no vaccine and just because they're not ready and they can't figure out how to really get everybody back in the theater, hundreds of people coming in at the same time, having intermission at the same time, sitting there next to each other, and making the economics work. If you fill a Broadway theater only 30% full, how does it, they can't figure it out. So they've moved the goalpost again, and Broadway will not be opening at the earliest until May 30th of 2021. So if you thought, let's just get through the holiday season and then Broadway will ramp up, we'll have a spring season again, we'll get to go, it's not happening. Broadway is closed till the end of May of this coming year. It is what it is. The Broadway League, which controls these things, says nearly 100,000 people have livelihoods depending on Broadway, and theater does make a $15 billion a year impact on New York City. All the side jobs that have to go with theater, the costumes that have to be designed, the lighting equipment, the acting teachers and the vocal coaches, the dance studios and dance it's all the restaurants in the area, all the little grocery stores where people get stuff on their on their way to the theater or back from the theater, the bars where they sit and go have a drink, these places. The money just by Broadway alone generated is like $15 million a year. But if they're going to reopen, it still has to be done safely, and they're still figuring that out. And meanwhile, while all this is going on, when everybody should be working together in some level hand in hand, except of course you got to keep your hands 6 feet apart, the two unions are fighting. AFTRA, I think, or SAG is fighting Broadway, and the Broadway producers and the Broadway League and Equity, really, that's really the actors union. The two unions are fighting over streaming of plays and actors appearing in streamed plays online, and should they get anything, and and it's just like, they can't even figure that out. How the hell are they going to deal with creating safe situations for people to come to Broadway and then pay the actors, even if the houses aren't full anymore? It's a big, big mess. Now, back in the spring, we knew that planned revivals of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and the new play Hangmen would not open. It was just around that time they were about to open, and then the pandemic scotched it. We also learned that the long-running show Frozen from Disney would not be coming back, and Beetlejuice, which was sort of a sleeper hit, which people didn't think would run, started to make like $1 million a week, but then their theater was booked by something else, so they had to either close or move, and they were mulling whether to do what, so they closed. That's not coming back. And then there's all those other shows that were playing on Broadway, Ain't Too Proud and Aladdin and Hadestown and Book of Mormon, and just show after show. They're still dormant, on hiatus, and afraid, at least maybe until now, to commit to reopening dates. The only thing we can hope for is that Chicago or Dear Evan Hansen or Wicked will now look at these, and Hamilton, of course, will look at these dates and Mean Girls and say, aha, all right, the league is closing everything down until May 30th. They will figure this out. Let's commit that July 12th we'll run again. Or maybe we'll wait out. If it's a touristy show, they'll open this in the summer. If it's more of a local New Yorkie kind of show, we'll commit to a date to start previews in September of 2021. That's all we can really hope for. For example, The Music Man, one of the big shows, big revivals being touted for the upcoming season, with Sutton Foster and Hugh Jackman to star. They were going to start up in the fall. Now they're going to start December of 2021 and open in I think January or February of 22. Yeah, this is what it is. The Metropolitan Opera, which has been around for 137 years, right? And made it through swine flu and made it through like polio and poxes. They canceled their whole season and are intending to start up again in September 2021 with, rather appropriate for the times, a Black composer, Terence Blanchard, and his opera, Fire Shut Up in My Bones. Although the Met is still trying to do opera streams and nightly video casts and things like that to keep them in the public consciousness and raise money. They don't want to go the way of city opera. It would be a real tragedy if suddenly New York did not have an opera house, did not have an opera company. We lost city opera, we lost the Amato. Who's there? There's the Met. You know, what an extraordinary thing if they go under. So anyway, that's the beginning of the Broadway news this week. And then we had a lot of people die. Yeah, this is a fun segment. We got to say a couple of Broadway farewells to people who contributed to theater over the years. For example, farewell to dancer and actor Tommy Rawle. He died on October 6th at the age of 90, so nice, not a COVID thing, he died. He was in a number of Andrews Sisters movies, which is kind of appropriate for us because we're going to be mentioning the Andrews Sisters a little later in terms of a Wretched Pun of Destiny, so stick around for that. But Tommy Rawle, on Broadway, he danced in such shows as the early Jerry Herman musical Milk and Honey. He was in the Irving Berlin musical Miss Liberty. He was in Call Me Madam with Ethel, and he was in a musical version of Cafe Crown. He danced in the movies as well. He was in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. He was in Kiss Me Kate. He was in the movie A Funny Girl. And on Broadway, he also did the musical Juno, and he was singled out for praise by one of the critics, saying that the musical was okay, but his spotlight dance number in Juno, which was based on the Irish play Juno and the Paycock, that was one of the highlights of the evening. And Donald O'Connor, no less than Donald O'Connor, who danced with Tommy Rawle, said of him that he was on a level and even higher than Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire. Not too shabby. A big, sad farewell to the late Tommy Rawle. I mean, I don't know if it's Rawle or Ral, R-A-L-L. Oh, and we also lost a younger person, Clark Middleton. He died on October 4th, age 63. I imagine it's complications of what he had since he was 4 years old, rheumatoid arthritis. You would recognize him immediately, this little kind of shrubby fella who nonetheless carved out a career in theater and movies and TV. Not easy, you look like someone like me. This is what you do not for a living. You look like Clark Middleton, with all due respect. It's amazing the career that he had. But he was acting since the mid-1980s, somewhat recognizable to TV audiences from recurring roles on Law and Order and Fringe and Twin Peaks and The Blacklist. And in terms of theater, he was in shows at the Delacorte Theater off-Broadway, Signature Theater. He was in fairly recent premieres of shows by Sam Shepard and John Guare. I remember seeing him back in the day, 1997. This is one of the things that launched his career a bit more. In 1997, he did an off-Broadway solo show about his life called Miracle Mile. And it was about the triumph over adversity of becoming an actor, even though it was very difficult for him to walk and to move. And he needed crutches and all that. So a farewell to Clark Middleton, who made it to Broadway in 2018. I'm so glad he did. In the revival, I did not see it, but he was in the Denzel Washington Iceman Cometh as one of those bar denizen patrons in that show. So hooray that Broadway wasn't shut down at that point, and Clark Middleton made it to the greatest place you could if you're an actor. He made it to Broadway in an O'Neill play with Denzel Washington in it. Not too shabby, the late Clark Middleton. And we want to say also a farewell to Thomas Jefferson Byrd, who passed away on October 3rd at the age of 70. Best known really for appearing in a whole bunch of Spike Lee movies in a more recent vintage. But he had one Broadway credit, and it was a big one. He was in the 2003 revival with Whoopi Goldberg of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, for which he was Tony nominated. But really, he did most of his work outside of Broadway and New York. He was in regional productions like San Diego Repertory's Spunk. He was in Home by Sam Art Williams, Two Trains Running, The Piano Lesson, and Ma Rainey, all at the Alliance Theater in Atlanta. He did Flying West and Hamlet and Miss Evers Boys at Indiana Repertory Theater, and he was in the Pearl Cledge play Flying West at Brooklyn Academy of Music. So yeah, he was that journeyman actor going along and also in limited roles because he was Black. So especially the past 20, 30, 40 years, you didn't get the options to play in shows that weren't August Wilson shows or Sam Art Williams shows and things like that. But he carved out a career and did get those Spike Lee movie roles. And wouldn't you know that on October 3rd, Thomas Jefferson Byrd was killed by a homicide. He was shot to death in Atlanta, shot multiple times. So those are the times that we live in, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, the time is about 25 after 12. We're doing Dave's Gone By. We're in the middle of our of our Inside Broadway segment. I'm saving the good news, the happy-ish news, for last, but not before I remind you that this segment is brought to you by Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway since 1944. If you have questions about anything in New York theater, Broadway, off or off Broadway, this is the place to turn. This is where, I know this is an old issue, okay? I should be holding up a more recent one, but yeah, check it out. This is when Broadway starts up again, because if they are gonna be getting going in May, as soon as the new year hits, they've got to start making plans. They've got to start thinking of seasons again and getting folks back on Broadway. This is where you're going to find out what they're doing. A guide to the Broadway season, a guide to where all the theaters are, a guide to who's in Broadway theaters, which ones are empty, how many seats they have, or at least how many seats before they start taking a bunch of seats out. And then you've got a calendar listing of shows when they're starting previews, opening and closing, both on and off Broadway. Our very, very handy guide to virtual shows. So if you're home and you're jonesing for theater, there's tons of shows recorded live on stage professionally on YouTube for free. And also there's some other shows that are just, new shows, Zoom shows, by theater companies that do want you to contribute or are charging a fee. We list all of them in our virtual theater guide in Performing Arts Insider. And then, of course, we get to what will, God willing, come to Broadway in 2021. The shows that were there and then are on hiatus, the shows that are about to open or hope to open, all of that information, page after page in Performing Arts Insider. There's a guide to the press agents who handle the shows, an index in the back, and then, of course, me right there. Got to take an advertisement out in my own journal. But it's Performing Arts Insider, and to find out more, go to performingartsinsider.com. Performingartsinsider.com. It's an expensive journal. It's not like People Magazine. You pick it up for $4 on the newsstands. But the people who love it subscribe year after year. They renew their subscription. I wanted to... I was taking a new day job. I was doing some other things. I wanted to end Performing Arts Insider a year ago. And then subscribers literally would call me. I would see them in the theater. They would cry to me. They said, we need the Insider. You can't stop doing it. We'll pay. We're happily paying. And they happily paid, and I kept it going another year. Whether I keep it going a further year, don't know. I mean, obviously, there's not much theater to write about it besides the virtual stuff. We'll see. If the checks come in, let me just keep it going. But it's Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway, do check it out. It's 12:30 in the afternoon on Dave's Gone By. We have a bit more to do in this program, including finishing up our Inside Broadway segment to let you know it feels like a bit of happy news, even though they delayed the reopening of Broadway by several months now. They are going to celebrate the Broadway season such as it was that passed. And the Tony nominations are going to be announced this week on October 15th. Aladdin's James Monroe Iglehart will be making the announcement. Nominators are going to meet 2 days earlier to convene and go through the shows that did open, because there were a bunch. And then at some point in December, most likely, there will be a virtual streamed Tony show. Maybe they'll make a deal with CBS and broadcast it there. I don't know. But they're going to have a virtual ceremony with performances. And so producers of the recent Tony Awards, the last couple of years, they'll stay on. They're going to do this special version of the Tonys. They also ended up doing the virtual Democratic convention, so they know what they're doing. Eligible shows must have opened by February 19th to be considered for Tony nominations this year. So like Girl from the North Country didn't get in under the wire. Six, which was supposed to open the night of the shutdown, that isn't in there. But Jagged Little Pill is there. Tina is there. Moulin Rouge is there. Like a bunch of shows that did get to open this past season will be up for Tony nominations that are going to be announced this week. So yes, as promised, a little bit of positive, happy Broadway news as we go inside Broadway.
It's the famous gay white way where the night is bright as day. Ain't Broadway grand?
It's not just a thoroughfare, it's a tingle in the air. Ain't Broadway grand?
It's excitement, it's romance, it's all fun and song and dance. This wonderland, you can be a millionaire quicker here than anywhere. Ain't Broadway grand?
You audition very well. You're in great form, you can tell. Ain't Broadway grand? As you do your flashing take, we'll call you is all they say. Ain't Broadway grand?
Oh man, you know the show is running long when I take two pee breaks instead of one during the show. And this is also, I warn everybody, this is what happens after the show runs more than 3 hours. The lips, the jaw, they just stop working, and I start making a lot of malapropisms. But we're still doing some more of Dave's Gone By live on this Saturday. It is October 10th, 2020. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, and yes, we still have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned to do. And yes, we still have our Wretched Pun of Destiny. But before we get to that, as promised and or threatened, ladies and gentlemen, when I was listening to Rabbi Saul Solomon's interview with Tammy Pescatelli, I especially pricked up my ears when he asked about boundaries, about things like too soon, or borders, or things you don't want to joke about, or so forth. And I'm always someone who's like, the joke's funny, go for it. If it's not funny, but still, you gotta do it. You can't restrain, you can't hamper a comedian's mind. And when it goes through the mind, it comes out the mouth. Sometimes it's like, it's too fast, but it happens. Well, every once in a while on this program, we do a segment called My Sick Mind. It's where whatever little mechanism in me that makes me a sick, horrible individual, it triggers something. So when I hear bad, big news, and it could be 9/11, it could be Krista McAuliffe, dying in the space shuttle thing, or it could just be a famous person dropping dead, my head is going to go towards the jokes. And also like when Bill Cosby gets called out and goes to prison, or Jeffrey Epstein has the stuff that happened to him, my brain is going to be like, make the joke, make another joke, find the joke. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be testing your Van Halen knowledge. Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I will. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some jokes. No disrespect intended, although it will certainly come off that way, for the late Eddie Van Halen, who passed away on October 6th after admittedly years of drug and alcohol abuse. Plus, he had throat cancer and diverticulitis. He was not in the best shape for a 65-year-old. And, you know, sad for his wife, sad for Valerie Bertinelli, who's putting up old pictures of them. And it's a sad thing for rock fans, even though I have no real use for Van Halen musically. However, when this kind of thing happens, I have to dig deep into the recesses of my sick mind.
My sick, my sick, my sick, my sick, my sick mind. Well, talk about bad taste. My sick, my sick, my sick, my sick, my sick mind.
You sick little monkey.
Thank you, Ren. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I'm just going to do some one-liners here. I'm going to rattle them off. And thank goodness, I think I absolutely need. Where did they go? Yes, we're going to need some sound effects for these. These are what get me through this. These are all jokes about the late Eddie Van Halen. And by the way, if you pay attention, you'll notice that every joke has the same kind of answer. Here we go. Where is Eddie Van Halen now? Running with the devil. Yeah, it's the name of a Van Halen song. Okay. What song came too late for Eddie Van Halen? Somebody get me a doctor. What did the cancer give Eddie Van Halen? Fair warning. See, I know most of my listeners don't know these songs. I don't know these songs, but I went poking through every album to find song titles like, what was Eddie Van Halen's tongue? Source of infection. That tongue really do. How is Eddie Van Halen buried? Bottoms up. How did Eddie Van Halen arrive at the hospital? DOA. Whatever. This one I like. What did the devil say when he saw Eddie Van Halen on a cloud? Jump! That was pretty good. Right. What did Eddie Van Halen bring to his own cremation? Blood and fire. Just by accident, I'm hitting just the right buttons on these. What did Eddie Van Halen's top half say to his bottom half? Drop dead, legs. Okay, just a couple more. Just a couple more. What happened to Eddie Van Halen's bowels when he died? Loss of control. Oh, two more. What can't Eddie Van Halen do? Get up. I kind of blew the timing on that one, I'm sorry. And finally, what is Eddie Van Halen facing? Judgment Day. Yes, my friends, and not a moment too soon, the ending of our My Sick Mind segment. And, you know, things don't get better after this. I wish I could tell you, oh, we have another high-level segment, or we have another great, amazing guest coming in, or we've got something to do that will redeem this latter part of the show. But no. The next two things are either, or both, the Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we're going to go to Ovid, Colorado. But before then, the Wretched Pun of Destiny. Now, this isn't really sick or disgusting. It's just actually kind of, it's a play on words. Play on words that is so awful, so terrible. Let me see if I can find that gagging noise. There you go. That's the sound you need. The Wretched Pun of Destiny, we were doing these week after week for a few years, and then the well kind of ran dry. But every once in a while, I take the old pump out and I prime it again for an absolutely atrocious pun. And, well, we're doing it again this week. And this week's pun has to do with Ethel Merman. So this, our theater people will definitely appreciate this one. If anybody can appreciate a wretched pun of destiny.
The days gone by, wretched pun of destiny.
Ethel Merman is about to open in a big Broadway musical when the producers rush into her dressing room. Ethel, the doctors are expecting a terrible flu season. Have you been vaccinated? No, boys, she replies. I don't like needles, and I'm healthy as a horse. The producers say that's great, but Ethel, you're the show. If you do get sick, everything collapses. Don't you have insurance? That's the thing, the producers say. They won't insure the production unless you get the flu shot. Well, the actress and the producers argue for a long time and finally reach a compromise. Ethel will get vaccinated, but only if they send the doctor to her favorite restaurant where she can be distracted from the needle by the food. The next day, before her matinee, Merman settles in for lunch at Joe Allen's, where they serve her favorite meal, a juicy, medium-rare hamburger. No bun, but all the fixins. As she's getting ready to tuck in, a physician quietly sits near her, opens up his bag, and removes a syringe. Just then, a family from Iowa enters the restaurant and sees Ethel Merman sitting in her booth with the doctor. Oh my God, says the starstruck wife in a loud whisper. It's the Andrews sisters. That's not the Andrews sisters, scoffs the husband. Of course it is, says the wife, as she points to the hamburger, the syringe, and the actress. It's Patty, Vaccine, and Lamerm.
We here at Dave's Gone By apologize for bringing you the wretched pun of destiny.
Yeah, we apologize. We kind of apologize for that every week here on Dave's Gone By. With me, Dave Lefkowitz, our wretched pun of destiny. So it's what we do. And remember, if you like what we do, tell everybody that they can watch this show live on Facebook every Saturday morning from 9 until noon or thereabouts. You can hear the archives or watch the last 3 years of archives at davesgoneby.com. We also post our archives at archive.org, as well as the audio on castbox.fm. I do want to remind you that if you want to get in touch with me, davesgoneby@aol.com is the way to do that, davesgoneby@aol.com. Plus, you can always post right here on our Facebook page or message me here if you've liked us and followed us on Facebook, which I wish you would. What else? Oh, I have a Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. Radio Dave, the number 2. And I want to send everybody also to davelefkowitz.org. I think I also own the .com on that. But Joyce had mentioned, or Leslie had mentioned that Rabbi Saul last week asked Chuck Me about putting his plays for free, the texts of them, on the interwebs. And I took sort of my cue from that, and you can read hundreds of my theater reviews, read my one-act plays, my full-length plays, some of my nascent screenplay writing. I mean, just a whole bunch of my stuff. And I keep trying to load more and more of it on there from my 40 years almost as a writer. And it's all at davelefkowitz.org. So give it a shot. If you want some laughs, you can read all our old Wretched Puns of Destiny there. Our Colorado Limericks are there as well. Plus, as I said, short reviews, long reviews of theater. And I'm sort of most proud of that because I was reviewing shows in the late 80s through the 1990s. And if you wanted to find reviews of those shows on the interwebs, if you were lucky, the New York Times covered it. You found the review. Most of the time, these were often off-Broadway things that appeared maybe in the Post or in the Daily News. Good luck. You know, they're not going to come up in a Google search. So in some way, whether I like the show or not, I will be one of the voices of record about the history of that show, and I feel pretty good about it. Anyway, it's all there at davelefkowitz.org. Do check that out. Anyway, we do still have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned to do. But before then, let's thank again so much, first of all, Leslie Hoban Blake for playing along with our Today Yesterday quiz. Remember that she and Charlie Gross are doing a new podcast called Critics Circle, and find all their old podcasts at the channel for Two on the Aisle on YouTube. Do check them out. I want to thank also and welcome to the Daverhood, Tammy Pescatelli. What a fabulous interview she was, talking with Rabbi Saul Solomon earlier in the show. Do go read her in the Weekly World News as it returns, as an online, at this point, only entity, but she's already written for 5 issues of the Weekly World News. Yay. So thank you, Tammy, for being with us in the Daverhood. Thank you to Joe Corcoran for helping her become a friend of the Daverhood. Friends of the Daverhood are folks who have been on this program over the years, and we like to honor them and celebrate them when they do other things in their careers in a segment called Friends of the Daverhood. So, of course, a lot of times in recent years, when we give shout outs to these people, they're busy on Broadway or off Broadway or concert touring. So we don't get a lot of that right now. It's a much shorter segment these days. But there's still stuff to mention. For example, congratulations to Ruben Santiago Hudson, the actor and director. He has been named a new artistic advisor at Manhattan Theater Club, which now has both a Broadway venue and its off-Broadway home at City Center. So yay to our friend Ruben Santiago Hudson. Want to let you know, we mentioned Chuck Mee, the playwright. Well, his piece, Falling and Loving, where he's working with Anne Bogart and Elizabeth Streb for a very kinetic, dancey, a piece that mixes theater and animation and dance and virtual stuff. It's happening on October 11th, so it's happening this week, and you can watch it on WNET All Arts. So that's Channel 13's little All Arts section online. October 11th, and I imagine it's on Channel 13 Live that day as well. Falling and Loving, featuring text by Chuck Mee. Melissa Errico and Adam Gopnik. Well, Melissa is certainly a friend of the Daverhood. The French Alliance is sponsoring a concert of theirs being streamed live from Florence Gould Hall in New York. That is happening on October 14th. And then from October 15th through the 18th, Karen Mason in concert. It's About Time. You can watch this. It's recorded back in 2015 at Don't Tell Mama, when she was doing a series of concerts to honor her start in that club and others like it almost 40 years ago. So if you go to KarenMason.com, you will be able to watch from the 15th through the 18th her concert, It's About Time. So yay for Karen Mason on that. I want to remind you that Richard Nelson's new play, Incidental Moments of the Day, is digitally streaming now through November 5th, and it features J.O. Sanders, our other friend of the Daverhood. It is free to watch, but they hope that you will make a donation to the Stage Directors and Choreographers Foundation. Go to theapplefamilyplays.com. Steve Kaplan is still taking orders for a last moment. You can sign up for his online comedy intensive, which actually starts today. So maybe this was the deadline. Anyway, a shout out to the very funny Steve Kaplan. Eric Comstock and Barbara Fasano are doing duets of popular songs on their YouTube page. So we give a shout out to them. A shout out to Julie Holston and her interview comedy-ish show called Virtual Holston Fridays, or no, it's Virtual Holston, and she posts them on Fridays, and you can watch them on YouTube. There you go. Evan Seplow is the founder and editor of StageBuddy.com, a website that's been around now for a bunch of years and still tells you about goings-on in New York, StageBuddy.com. Dr. Demento still doing new Dr. Demento shows at his website, drdemento.com. Stuart Brown has his Sounds of Broadway .com musical website. So if you love musical theater, both the really popular, well-known stuff and also deep tracks, 24/7 musical theater, soundsofbroadway.com. And finally, Bob Cudmore doing podcasts of upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And those, my friends, are the friends. Oh, you know, I'm going to add one more. Mary Shen Barnage, our beloved theater critic from Chicago. She isn't sitting back on her heels. She is out there reviewing Zoom and virtual theater in Chicago. And those reviews are posted at totaltheater.com. Just go to the Criticopia section for Mary Barnage's reviews of Chicago's live or sometimes recorded virtual theater. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is 10 minutes to 1 o'clock here in the Daverhood, almost finishing up the show, almost done everything that we have set out to do in a very busy, very crammed episode of Dave's Gone By. But we can't leave you before we have one more segment, before we torture you just a little bit extra. And we do that with something called the Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Joyce and I, we lived in Colorado for a bunch of years, and I got it into my head for no good reason to write a poem about as many towns and cities and municipalities in Colorado as I possibly could. And they started growing and growing, and now I've got well over 120 of them, and still counting, still adding. Who knew that there were so many different places in Colorado, but there are. And so this week we go to Ovid, Colorado, and I am probably mispronouncing it, I don't care. O-V-I-D, Ovid, Colorado, for a Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Colorado, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to Ovid, Colorado, for our Limerick of the Damned. Now, Ovid is a statutory town in far northeastern Colorado. Can't find much about it online. It's got about 300 people in it. And it was named after a resident many, many years ago named Newton Ovid. So bear with, I'm guessing it may be pronounced Ovid. Colorado is like that, where they'll take unusual, intentionally weird pronunciations of things. So maybe it's Ovid. I could be wrong, but David is going with Ovid for our Colorado Limerick. When asked how she came down with COVID, a naughty young actress from Ovid said, "Last Sunday morn, I was shooting some porn, and I took several loads in a blow-vid." As I said, you can only send your complaint letters to davesgoneby@aol.com. DAVESGONEBY, davesgoneby@aol.com, or just message me right here on this Facebook page. You can post for the public or just send me a private message. Either way, I would love to hear from you. It's about this show has grown so much just from the interaction of the fans, just from knowing that you're out there, playing along with our Today, Yesterday Trivia Quiz, typing in your comments, sending me your emails, or just watching. Just knowing you're there. It has made such a difference over the last few years as we grow and we become this whole new Dave's Gone By entity that I do love, and I hope you love too. Gotta say, again, or before I do the thank yous one more time, gotta remind you why you would be tuning in next Saturday, October 17th, for our 768th edition of the show. That is because, among other things, among Greeley Crimes and Old Times and Colorado Limerick and maybe a pun, or maybe Dave's Big Dictionary, or the Today Yesterday quiz, of course, but we will have a comedian, another comedian, Kevin James Doyle, will be joining Rabbi Saul Solomon. And he will be, if Rabbi Saul doesn't offend him too much, he'll actually stick around for the quiz. But Kevin James Doyle, veteran comedian, will be with us in the Daverhood. Because it's always been a head scratcher for me that we've had so many guests on the show over the years, hundreds of guests on the program. A lot of musicians, some people with odd lines of work, a lot of actors, of course, and theater people and directors, and not as many comedians. It's a comedy show. And I don't know if I was feeling proprietary about, I want somebody to be funnier than I am, because most people are, or it was just didn't happen that I was in the right circle of knowing comedians and getting to them, or who was well known enough to be worth it to be on the show and so forth. But it's great having comedians on. We've had Gilbert Gottfried on the show. We've had Pat Cooper and Mark Russell and Robert Klein and Dick Cavett and Vicky Cooperman and who else and Rusty Warren. I mean, we're getting more of them though, which is kind of neat. And so we continue. Today we had the wonderful Tammy Pescatelli. Then we will have next week Kevin James Doyle in the Daverhood. And the week after that, don't miss this, October 24th, our guest in the Daverhood will be musician Larry Kerwan. He was in a band, a very popular local band called Black 47 for a bunch of years. If you listen to like progressive-ish FM radio, you've heard about Black 47 all the time. They're always doing concerts locally. So musician Larry Kerwan, he is writing a musical. He's working on something that he hopes will get to Broadway. And so he's trying to publicize it every way he can. And that includes coming on this show to talk to Rabbi Saul Solomon, not next week, but 2 weeks from today. So it's almost 1 o'clock. I need to thank my darling, wonderful, amazing wife, Joyce, for being so much help and so much fun that she brings to the program. She's really the unsung hero of the show, because you can feel the energy, like when she leaves, it's kind of like me redoubling my forces because I don't have her to like turn to and make the noises and check the computer. But yeah, love my darling, wonderful wife, Joyce. Thank her so much. Thank you again to Leslie Hoban Blake. Thank you to Rabbi Saul Solomon for being with us. Remember that his website is shalomdammit.com. I really need to update it, but shalomdammit, D-A-M-M-I-T. shalomdammit.com. So you can find his interviews there. You can find his stage show there that was recorded, and that no less than Charles Mee has said was really good, man. And 10 episodes of his hilarious TV show, Shalom Dammit, Rabbi Saul Solomon's Peace, Love, and Acid Reflux Hour. Those are all at his website, shalomdammit.com. Do definitely go there and check that out. And thank you again to Tammy Pescatelli for being with us on the show. Make sure you read her in the Weekly World News. Make sure you go scope out her Netflix special, Finding the Funny, and then she had a more recent Showtime special. And just look for her all over the web in clips and bits and bytes, and as well as the other stuff that she's doing until she can get back on a stage in front of people, which she'll be doing in Omaha in November. So let's get in our vans. I've been to Omaha, Nebraska. It was okay. So anyway, thanks again also to Joe Corcoran for setting up that interview with Tammy. Much appreciated. And so it is 1 o'clock. It is time to leave the neighborhood, to mask up and go elsewhere and go more than 6 feet away from you, my beloved fans, and wish you good health. Wish you a very, very happy Shmini Atzeret and Simchas Torah to all our No, you know what? Our Jewish listeners are already hopefully having a happy, to our Asian viewers, happy Simchas Torah to you. Let's throw a monkey wrench right in there. And a healthy week ahead, a good October for you as the season starts to change, as the weather starts to change. We have to say, there goes the Daverhood and gone by.
Days gone by, days gone by, days gone by.